Call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock for December 22nd. Mr. Tip, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
The agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for December 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would like to add at the beginning of it that tonight we're celebrating the birthday of two of our members. Mrs. Harris, who is, I'm not going to mention because a girl never tells her age, but she looks amazing.
85 and proud of it.
85 years old and a wonderful party here. And our youngest member, Rob Steele, who we think is 30.
I will neither confirm nor deny the accuracy of that estimate of his age. Okay, so other than that, do we approve the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Citizens' comments, items not on the agenda.
We gotta do the minutes.
Minutes for that. Thank you, Rob.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for December 8th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a couple. I almost hate to say it because there's so few. Under Recreation Department, the third line up, it says being reviewed for better, easier registration. I think instead of a comma, it should be and. On the next page, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It says discussion ensued regarding price and what the town, and I think that should be discussion ensued regarding price of what the town items, what the town, I don't like that.
I think you got an extra town in there.
Got an extra town in there. Down under Highway Department, first line after Y, I think there should be an A. Oops, I missed one back up in the other place. Third line up, brakes are spelled incorrectly. That's it.
Anything else? I'm trying to remember. I came into the meeting somewhere during the approval of the minutes, correct? I don't know if that should be noted or not. Mike, what do you think? That was like 2 minutes late getting into the meeting.
Yeah, I wrote it down on what time you came into the
I don't
meeting.
know if it's really critical, but. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll open it up for citizens' comments. Items not on the agenda. Huh?
Thank you. I won't take long. Give you something, and I'm gonna read the caption on it as I do. Photo Haley Hess, photograph. Public audience, that's the subject of the image. Public audience facing the stage in the gymnasium of the Recreation Center, Culvert Village School, attending Ethan Allen and Castleton on May 9th, 2025 for the 250th anniversary of the Green Envoys Council of War in May 1775. In advance of New England Patriots seizing the British forts on Lake Champlain, Ticonderoga on May 10 and Crown Point on May 11. This is for the town office building.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow, that's very nice.
Oh, thank you. That is cool.
Tom, we really appreciate all the effort that you put into
Wow, that's
this whole
great.
program.
Where do I put it?
Just leave it on that table for now, Tom.
Appreciate your knowledge and dedication of the history.
It was hard to find a place that would print that 30 inches wide, but I found one in downtown Albany and had it framed in Middlebury with UV protective glass. Eventually, a colored photo is going to fade, but this will slow that down. Merry Christmas.
Anything else?
This be time for Mr. Kukin. Good evening. Scott Kukin represents the local snowmobile club, which covers Fairhaven, Castleton, Hubbard. I'm the president of the club this year, because they keep voting me in, unfortunately. Anyway, if you look at the piece of paper I handed out, and Mike, I'll give you mine when I'm done. This is an overall view of the area of Drake Road, where it comes out near the golf course. And you've got both the vast map on the left and then you're going to see on the next page a detailed version. So this is a trail that we've been working on for years and pretty much have established for 10 or so to get people off of Bombazine because of the safety issues of riding on the lake. There's been multiple deaths, and VAS has really pushed over the years to get everybody onto land, if at all possible. So this is the trail that basically starts down by Blissville Road and stays on the between Lake and Drake for a little while, and then goes on into the valley between Drake Road and Route 30, all the way up until you go to the lodge and tap room, where we cross and then go up into the Hubbard lodge. And what you're looking at is an area zoomed in near Neshwick Beach and the northern end of Drake Road. So if you look at the second page, if you flip it over, I broke it out, some of the landowners right near the sharp corner on Drake Road as you come down the hill. We used to cross straight across to Hart Towers Road through the lands of Mr. Bryant. And he had asked us last year to shut that trail down. There was apparently some vandalism to his gate and some garbage left and some other issues. We don't think it was snowmobilers, but I can't rule that out. It certainly wasn't us. And so he asked us to shut that trail down. We didn't have any other reroute other than Mr. Matt McClave. So you can see just the one landowner to the west allowed us to go through his property, but that dumps us out onto the paved road. And if any of you ever tried to ride a snowmobile on a paved road, it's difficult to control. You can't really turn. So Mr. West, right across the street, allowed us to go onto his property so we could turn the sleds, and then we can ride the side of the road until we get to Hart Towers. So it's approximately 350 feet of we'd be riding the side of Drake Road. It really has to be on the northern side of Drake Road because of because of the turning of the sleds. It's almost impossible to keep it on the south side of Drake Road. To be honest, all of the landowners are for this, except for Mr. Linder, who has contacted us saying he doesn't want any snowmobiles on his property. Well, we're not going to be on his property, we're going to be on the road. So, but he is definitely not in favor of having any snowmobiles on the edge of his grass or anything. So we will work with him to put up some fencing or some stakes or whatever we need to do to keep any sleds off of his roughly 100 feet worth of that 350 feet reroute. So that's as simple as that. We have no other ways, and if we can't get this route approved, we're basically going to shut the trail down, unless, for instance, Mr. Bryant opens it back up for us, and we're still conversing with him to try to maybe what candidly is going through his property is a better solution. But for now, we don't have his approval. Any questions?
Scott, how many other places do we actually travel on the road? Any road in the castle? Are there any other places?
No, none on the side of the road. Obviously, we have a lot of road crossings, which are allowed, but we don't have anything in Castleton where we ride the side of the road, even for 50 feet.
Are the trails open 24/7?
Yes, but very few people ride during those times. We have put in curfews on certain trails. Most, if not all, people will follow those curfews. There's always a few, but we can curfew that if you'd like.
Well, it doesn't make any difference to me personally, because I can't hear it from my
You being
house.
the select,
But-
yes, I agree.
Some people might.
Yep.
The question that occurs to me is, do we have the authority to do this? I mean, you know,
I'm not sure. That's the question, right?
Yeah, I want to make sure that, you know, I'm sure that the lion's share of your organization are responsible people. I'm very confident that's true, and I personally don't have a problem with it. Like Mark said, I can't hear it from my house. But, and you guys will do this responsibly. I'm confident of that. The question is, do we have the authority to do that? I think we need an answer to that question.
I think that we do have the authority, but I would be uncomfortable making that decision without it being on an agenda at a warned meeting.
Absolutely agree with that too.
And I would like to hear, from Chief Mantello about his opinion, and if there's any neighbors that have strong feelings about it, I think that we would be remiss to grant this without giving them an opportunity to come and talk about it.
I agree with that too. So what we'll do is, we can have it on the next agenda very easily. You don't mind coming back in 2 weeks,
No, that's not a problem.
and then we'll get it on the agenda, and then it's properly warned, and we can do, and we'll make sure that we know exactly what process it is to either allow this or disallow it, and we'll listen to, you know, we'll open it up for discussion to any other people who are concerned. And then we'll let you know what our course of action is.
Very good.
I'm not gonna commit to anything except that. We're gonna get it out in the open and discuss it.
Chief, would you want to comment on this, or would you be willing to come back at the next meeting, or?
Yeah, that's fine. Scott, I do have a question. Is that
Sure.
Are you under the VAS?
Yes.
I know that they do have a lot of authority as long as the whole town, as long as the property owners don't have issue with it. So,
Yeah, our point is we're not on there on anybody's property that hasn't given permission. Mr. Littler, we're gonna try to stay totally off it.
who's the,
That's
the state actually has to make directors right out here.
I've ridden a lot of vast trails down the side of the road in my days.
The director, the trails coordinator is, Matt. And
I'll give you my mail
Yeah,
card.
I'll give you all that stuff.
Give you that stuff, and I'll do some homework on it.
Yeah, Matt Crow is the trash coordinator.
Scott, I have one more question.
That's right on their website too, if you want to just look at it. He's asked on there.
Okay, I can do that.
Scott, I have one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
And you may need a crystal ball and a Ouija board to answer this, but do you have a wild ass, excuse me, bad word. Do you have a wild guess?
No.
Do you have a wild, my inner sailor is coming out. Do you have a wild guess as to how many sleds a day or a week or a month? Is there anything, how much traffic there would be?
It's difficult to say. Our membership is around 80 to 100, and we encourage people to join the club where they're gonna ride, so that's the best I can really give you for any kind of
Okay,
info.
I realize that might have been an impossible question to answer, so.
And, you know, during the weekdays, there tends to be little, if any, traffic, and then it's usually on just weekends.
Very little now because there's not enough snow.
Right.
Correct.
Correct. The trails are opened after hunting is closed, and in theory, open through the end of March, but we're always closed per se until there's available snow. It's very rarely do we have them open. at
Mother
this time
Nature
of
gets a
year.
vote too.
Some field has their snow.
Well, the only reason I ask is in your point about, you know, it's off-peak or weekend hours is when there's not commuter traffic, which is to our advantage. You know, people aren't going to and from work on as much on weekends or in the evenings and night.
I have a main trail across my property, and there's not that many snowmobiles anymore. And the vast majority are pretty quiet and they're respectful. There's always that one or two that have a really loud sled at 2 o'clock in the morning,
And it's probably not registered either.
probably not registered.
It's probably the same one that goes by my house every time it snows. It's about 11 o'clock at night, really fast and really loud.
We've already spoken to a couple of people.
On the road. Not on the road, Scott.
Yeah. There's a couple of people who are riding already before the trails are open we have to speak to, so.
All right, so we'll wrap this up for tonight. We'll get this on the agenda for the next meeting and we'll make sure we got our act together.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Can the board hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I didn't know if I had zoomed in the proper way. This is Bob Crowley from Bombazine, and I would just like to just give you some information in your deliberations for this year's budget vote. My wife and I, we've been victims of the Vermont Blue Advantage debacle, where the health insurance, Vermont Blue that handled our health insurance, just canceled that program. So just to make and save time on this, my wife and myself, our COLAs for Social Security and my government retirement monthly came out to be a net of $87. The agent that was over here that set us up with our personal health insurance since Vermont Blue Advantage left was a total cost of an additional $501 a month, okay, for the coverages that we need. So that is a $414 a month hit to our budget. And as you can assume, we're on a fixed income, a fixed monthly income. I sent some of this information to Mrs. Harris and Mr. Spalding earlier, but I couldn't make the previous meeting and I didn't have all the figures together. I know chaos at the federal level, confusion and panic in Montpelier. I know everything and I'm aware of everything going on. But in your deliberations, if you could find anything or any line item where you could keep the budget at the least possible increase for the town, myself, and I'm sure there are other people experiencing the same thing, especially those who may be losing their ACA, subsidiaries. It would be a great help. I really don't want to have to go out and look for a part-time job in order to pay my property taxes. Okay, I started working when I was 11 years old, and I think my wife and I deserve some type of good quality of retirement life. So if you could do that, and I know the pressures of labor contracts, the pressures of your own costs for health insurance going up for employees, and keeping maintenance and the equipment that you use to keep up the maintenance on the roads and stuff. I know everything's going up, but like I said, in your deliberations, if you could just keep a personal issue like this in mind, I myself, and like I said, I'm not sure about other residents of the town, would very much appreciate it. And then finally, I'd just like to thank Selectman Mark Brown for the information that he shared about the apartment complex in Berlin. And I hope a similar project planned for Castleton comes to fruition because I think, my wife and I, once we can no longer maintain a home, it would be an option for us so we can remain and keep our retirement years in Castleton. Thank you for listening and your consideration.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Crowley. We'll keep that in mind. Anything else for citizens' comments? We have a Zoom screen now. Okay.
Anybody on Zoom want to address the select board for comment or items that are not on the agenda?
After your children, an awful sound.
They're here working the budget.
Good for them.
There's nobody on Zoom to raise their hand.
Okay, I'm waiting for the chief now. He's He's taking care of some trouble.
Work on the heat.
He's got two lamps down right now.
The kids won their game, they're excited.
All right, the rabble under control, chief.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for your report then, if you don't mind. You're up.
Am I up?
You're up.
You didn't get hurt out there.
Oh, no, I know those kids.
You kept that rabble under control,
He
chief?
knows those kids. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Well, no, they just are excited, you know.
Remember, we were once 11 and 12.
Absolutely. I can think of a lot worse things to listen to than the laughter of children.
Absolutely. Good evening, board. Let's go through the report. I know Justin didn't get this into you till late. Community outreach, why is that number so high in November? Thanksgiving plus the turkey trot. We had a lot more involvement in November for community stuff than the food drive was the huge piece there, just like we'll have another one for December. We're down only 12, mental health 48 36. Nothing really stands out with the service calls. Any questions on the service calls? Call to service?
I was happy to see they didn't increase again.
Same here, trust me.
It was really nice to see you guys participating in the food drive. That's heartwarming, and that's real community
A lot of work.
policing.
A lot of work.
I know it's a lot of work.
But no, but it's good though. It's good work. Because, most of the time we're dealing with negative situations, so this is definitely makes your day.
I know people really appreciate it.
Chief, if it's not a heavy lift for your staff or you, would it be possible between now and town meeting day to plot a graph of the history of just the number of calls, quantity of calls
Yeah,
over the last, say, 36 months?
we can do that.
Yeah,
3 years.
If you use Excel or something, it shouldn't be that heavy of a lift. I think that might be a piece of information that the public might love to see. Just to give an idea of just how much volume your workload has increased over the last 3 years.
Okay. All right, so we'll go on rest. We went from 12 to 8 this month. Nothing really stands out. Why the decrease? Not that nothing did happen, just people either got away with crimes or we didn't catch that. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just like, it's in reference to just things that we didn't have to make the arrest. That's that.
Chief, can you explain real quick, just for the public and for myself, exactly what the conditions of release violation means? I mean,
So that means that somebody went to court, were charged with some criminal violations, and they have conditions either not to contact somebody, to stay away from them, not drink. So it's a separate order from the court. So if they get caught violating, if that's what that is, that's the conditions of release.
okay,
What we would call a VCR. Violations, conditions of release. Traffic violations, November, went down about 20. I do want to make a note on I know we were going to talk a little bit about it since I'm on the traffic piece. We did remove the mechanism from the creek road only. People were concerned about whether the snow or something was going to hit that sign, damage it. We didn't think it was gonna, but we took it off anyway. The other ones are all stayed intact. It's not like the interstate, they're going, 50 miles an hour, pushing it, they're going 25 on the creek when they plow. But we took that one out, the rest of them were intact. We did remove the one on Staso today. So right now, the only ones up are the Drake, Main Street. Where else am I missing here?
Blissville.
And Hubbard.
East Hubbard.
East Hubbard.
That Blissville sign's been very successful.
Have you noticed a difference, Mark?
Big difference.
All right, let's move to calls to service. So November, for the university and off-campus housing, we had 3, which is actually pretty good. Dropped from 8 from October. Or, I'm sorry, 9 from October. No specific reason why.
Suppose the weather's got something to do with that.
Yeah, winter time could, yeah, I mean, November. Possibility. I really think that the off-campus stuff we've been maintained pretty good for the last probably 4 years. I don't know if it's the group of kids or it's different than when I first came on.
I know the difference between now and when you first joined our department.
Oh my gosh.
It was,
crazy.
Well, Mark can attest to the shenanigans we used to see down when the fire station was on Elm Street. It used to be
Crazy.
the show every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, the off-campus renters are fairly respectful. There's no huge issues in there. Backup, provided by us in November. We dropped that down to 3. They were all very. And one of the issues is, this is something that I just talked to on the department at one of our meetings and actually talked to other agency heads. And I'm not trying to throw dirt on Fairhaven by any means, but you have officers that are only level 2 certified, working nights. So when that happens, they can't, they have a certain violation protocol, what they can make an arrest with, because they haven't gone to a full-time academy to be able to have that scope authority.
So what authority do they have with the level 2?
Well, it's in the laws. It lists mostly misdemeanors. They can't arrest felonies or things that were sentenced more than 2 years. Like they could not do an aggravated domestic assault, anything to do with weapons, for a burglary over $800. I mean, anything that's a felony, they technically can't arrest. So we actually had to take a case just recently on a domestic because the state law and the domestic assault state policy indicates that even as not our town, or if we go to a scene and we assist in that domestic assault and they can't make an arrest, we have to take it to whoever the level 3 officer is at the time.
Thank you.
Which is huge, which is what I don't want to get into. But we're mandated. We can't just walk away and say, you guys take care of it, we're going to leave. And they can't even make the arrest. It's a huge issue.
How could you put some pressure on Fairhaven to get their officers? Not possible.
I don't want to get into it here.
Okay.
It's beyond me.
Well, what you're telling us is you're going to get pulled away from the taxpayers of the town of Castleton to do Fairhaven's work, and that's not acceptable.
Absolutely.
It's not acceptable.
Absolutely. That's something, this is something that the board, town manager has to take up. I can't tell my guys not to do something that we're mandated to do, like domestic assault. We can't walk away from it. We get jammed, I don't want our credibility on my department to not do anything about it. They're very strict on that.
Their budget's a third of ours. I think that's about accurate.
Yeah, I don't even know what they
It's
budget.
much smaller.
But it's the experiences and certification.
Well,
Huge.
Well, because if you're not going to pay someone to work, you're not going to get the higher quality experienced people, right? So you can hire level 2 at a lesser rate, and then everybody else can take care of those level 3 issues around you.
So partly what the academy, what the council is doing is that they are getting more strict on agencies on what we need is a centralized standardization. Everybody needs to be level 3. We can't do this 1, 2, and 3 thing. Those days are gone. The 70s are gone. Even the early 80s. This is now. There's way too much demands on the job, which is why, hiring part-timers at level 2, what we don't want to get away from is the liability. If they get into something, we got to call somebody out to deal with it.
It certainly increases your exposure, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And they'll yank your certification if you mess up.
So I think this is a conversation that you and Mike and I should have, and then we'll report back to the board.
One question, size wise. How much bigger is Castleton than Fairhaven?
For full-time officers.
No,
Population.
Yeah,
population.
I think Fairhaven's around 3,000. We have like 47.
They're at 24, 2,600, and we're 44.
But they have larger area.
No,
No, they're-
no,
they're less
no,
than-
Castle's a big town. We cover 30.
I thought Fairhaven was larger, no?
No, we cover like 38 square miles. Something like that, 36 or 38.
I would guess Fairhaven's half that size geographically.
Okay.
They're more condensed, more urban looking than we are because we're so spread out. And plus we have we have the lake, we have the university, we have our 2 areas, or actually 3 areas of what I would call business locations. Yeah, spread out different. But I that's got to be addressed. You know, it just has to happen. And
Yeah, that's something I think you and the town manager and I need to discuss, and then we'll get back to the board and try to come up with a course of action. And that may or may not have to occur in an executive session at that point, because it's going to be personnel related.
now here's let me just throw an example to you, the mindset difference. So when I came here, you know, I'm getting paid by the Castleton residents to provide 24/7 coverage, even though we don't have somebody on 24 hours, but we got on call. If the call comes in off duty, I either respond or send somebody to deal with it, with some assistance, whatever. I have never, since I've been here, never had a shift not covered, ever. And there's towns that will leave a shift open and rely on the state police to cover their calls, which the state does not like to do. So that's just a different mindset. So anyway.
Well, I'm going to congratulate you and your staff, because I recall when we made the decision to hire you, that's one of the things we asked you to do, was get the coverage where you felt it should be. And we thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. So the backup provided the CPD for departments helping us. It's good. Fish and Wildlife had 1, State Police at 3, Fairhaven also assisted once in November. And assistance is all right. That's not the issue. It's just the other stuff. Couple things I want to go over. The new mental health protocol, which I just learned about. So because it's a statewide issue dealing with the mental health right now. You know, everything's thrown on the police because nobody has the resources, and you know that's what they do. So before, if somebody called 911, and if the dispatch would then dispatch us, the departments or whoever covers the area. Well, they got a new system now. They have an exclusive line called 988. Now, I haven't seen any advertisement or any type of press release on it. That the dispatch discerns that the caller needs mental health, they have them dispatched to that number so they can get a hold of somebody that's mentally health certified, or whatever you want to call it. It just started, so I don't know if it's going to make a difference. Thanksgiving boxes, we delivered 92, well, actually we delivered 40 personally, our department, to the families that we've been doing since I've been here. That was during there. We had obviously the turkey trot, which was, they had 180. They had quite a bit of people. I wasn't there, but my officers told me it was
Double last year.
wow. Well, I told you it's going to get big. That's going to get bigger. So that was a huge thing. Went smooth, no issues. Highway safety campaigns, we've got several. We had one already in Thanksgiving, and we've got a new one coming up in December. There will be a checkpoint, actually Christmas Eve. I don't know where, but there's going to be one. Let's see, Justin got a grant for $1,600 to get new breathalyzers, so we got that, which is part of the highway safety program. And officially, Avery Snyder, Officer Snyder, became that took over Josh's position is officially the full-time now. She got that in November. So she's working full-time. She's doing a really good job. Have you guys met her?
Mhm.
I don't think I brought her in here.
You did not to my knowledge.
I need to bring her in here.
I haven't met her.
Huh?
Be a good idea to bring her in here.
I met her on the
I
street.
usually
She's
try.
super nice,
I
professional.
introduced myself at the election maybe, or one of the elections, and then our paths crossed in the parking lot a couple times.
So that's it for the report. Now, I don't know if you guys were gonna cover anything on the ordinance that I sent.
We're not getting into that tonight.
Nothing, okay.
We got a pretty full agenda. So
Okay,
we're gonna-
all right.
we're
Well,
gonna-
I brought it just in case. Did you look at them at all?
I did look at it briefly, but I haven't done a deep dive yet.
There's a lot of changes I gotta make. I knew that going into this. So Mike gave me his changes he sent to me, and we'll have it done.
I'll do a deep dive sometime in the next few days and get back to you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have no.
Okay.
I was just surprised that there's different speed limits, like there's a certain road, and I'm not gonna bring up certain roads, but well, one across from my house, it's 35 miles an hour. It's perfectly straight, it's dirt, and it's only about 100 yards long, but then you go to another road that's paved, got a few curves in it, and it's 25.
Yeah.
So
Some of these studies, I'd have to do the research on how old some of these studies are. State law, dirt roads, there's 35. That's in law. So any of these dirt roads should be 35. Avalon Beach, 15, that's not even legit. I put it in there as 15, but that's not, you can't go below 25.
Avalon Beach is in a town.
That's private road.
isn't it?
I know, but what you can't enforce it.
Or I see your point.
You see what I'm saying? That's my point. Yeah, so there's some things I gotta go over a little bit on that, but this is the stuff from AOT. And then also from the highway department, there's some road they didn't even list in there. And part of the problem with, and I'm not trying to get too deep into this, but once you start going over there, is that some of these roads are being plowed and they probably shouldn't be because they're private. Although I talked to Jeff about it, I'm like, well, AOT doesn't work, it's a public road. So you have these issues, you have these little things here. Public is public. And
Well, the board's talked about those three particular projects.
I can think of three right out quick.
but anyway, those are things that think about.
Okay, thank you, chief.
Chief, would you like a piece of cake to go?
No, I'm good, man. I've eaten quite a bit of food in the last 2 weeks.
It is that time of year. Chief, you're up.
Fire
Chief, go ahead.
You can see the.
Thank you for your inaugural report.
Yeah.
Appreciate the effort.
Awesome, I think.
Well, I'm good. I had good assistance.
It's her birthday. She gets cake.
Oh, thank you.
She gets the first one.
I don't want it.
Thanks, Rob. You don't want it?
You don't want any of my cake?
Sorry.
Did you make it?
Like sugar.
No. You don't like it.
I don't. Was it like Rob's birthday?
Hey, too, right? Mine too, yeah.
Rob's and Mary Lee's both, so
I didn't see Mary Lee's on Facebook, so I didn't
having
get
a
the
double
memo of
celebration
hers today,
tonight.
but happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, chief, you're up.
This inaugural report asked to bring something to you, help with Mike and my assistant chief Dan. We pulled some numbers and stuff together. I don't know how well you guys got to look into it, but you can see what it come up with. October was 16 total calls. 2 structure fires, 1 motor vehicle crash, a couple medical assists, alarm activations, of course, being our big one. As we know, all the time we go to the university quite often, sometimes multiple times a day. And then other service calls, a couple of those, and that's usually agency is to this to help with traffic control or what. They can't find nobody else to do it, so they call the fire department. And that's the way it's been forever, so they don't know who else to call, so they turn up the fire department.
Dog caught behind the deck,
Yeah,
Dad, you remember that one?
Yeah.
rescue a dog trapped behind a deck. Could you do something in the subsequent reports and just let us know how many are at the college? I mean, you got alarm activation 5 here. But, I don't know how many of those.
I know all 3 in November are at the college, and I believe 4 of the 5 in October is what Danny had said was at the college.
Yeah, Danny or you, Cindy, whoever does it, could just split out the number at the college, that would be helpful.
Coming into the end of the year, from July 1st to now, we're somewhere around 30 some odd to pretty near 40 at the college. I can't tell you the exact number, but we're touching that at college alarms.
Well, I meant in future reports,
Yeah.
you could just break it out. That way, we have an idea, just, because I have an idea how often you go there, but not everyone in this room does.
Could I ask a couple questions?
Certainly.
Okay, I see you got 24 members.
Yep.
How are they broken up as to whether they can go into a burning building or drive a big ladder truck or whatever?
It's all how active they are. We have to clear them as an officers group to do any steps or thing. Like I said, it says in here, we got 3 guys going through, firefighter 1, firefighter 2. So they'll be state fully trained on all interior, all aspects of what we do here. The driving training we do mostly in-house. Once in a while they'll offer the evac course and somebody will go off to that, the day long course you drive through cones and back around corners and stuff, practice with fire trucks. But it's all in-house training, and as you get training and cleared, that's how you get through different steps of your process.
Okay, now, like the ladder truck, that's the biggest truck you have?
That's the biggest one there.
How many people are trained or?
There's 6 of them that we've got cleared to drive it.
Thank you.
We probably got 8 that I'd say could operate it, but 6 of them that feel comfortable driving it.
The others are called the ladder, but they don't drive.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Well, actually, right in the bucket now, but we don't have to crawl the ladder so much.
Keith, I have a question. One of the reasons we wanted to have this report was so the select board could work more closely with you and help you solve issues that you may have. And the one issue that I heard when I spoke to you the other day is the enormous amount of paperwork that you have. And I think that you guys are doing that all by hand.
Well, there's a program that does some of it, but it doesn't do it all. Yeah, and most of it has to be fed in manually.
Would you like us to look into a more streamlined version of that?
We've got, like I said, we have a program. Like I said, yeah, if there's something out there, but you still have to, because the state of Vermont dispatch doesn't have the CAD system to feed it into the system automatically. There's nothing out there that you don't have to manually enter some of the stuff, no matter what you get, Mark.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to feed the information into it.
Okay.
Somebody's got to feed it anyways.
I just want you to know that we're sympathetic to the amount of time that volunteers are asked to put into this, and that most of you guys probably didn't join the fire department because you wanted to do bookwork. So
I've asked Mike in the new budget to put in, because Danny does most of it now. Right? I'm not a computer guru by any means, so Danny sits down and enters most of it. And he's estimating there's 8 hours a month that he sits there at nights and weekends or during fire meeting nights and enters the data into the system. So the system can calculate it. After you enter it keeps up with it and calculates it. But
and we might be able to help you find people that would participate in grant writing as well.
But like I said, the grant writings are more and more complicated, and that's just something, like I told you, that we can't do in-house anymore.
Well,
there's just not enough man hours.
When you identify issues you have, we want to work with you and help.
I don't know what the uncertainty with the Homeland Security, the big one that we apply for every year, what that comes to is going to look like this year, because nothing has been released. You've wrote it before, back then it wasn't. it was enough, and it's just got more and more complicated.
Yeah.
It's cumbersome, and it's more and more cumbersome since, and the last couple of years, we've hired a grant writer with no success. If we don't have somebody to do it, it probably won't get done if you look at somebody in the department to do it.
Okay, well, let's stay in touch on that.
Yep.
Heath, should we be worried about the dates behind your equipment? I assume that's what that means. Like when it says,
The helmets,
yeah, the helmets.
the guys are in firefighter one, they just went through it, and we're not the only ones that's in that. There's everywhere, there's people that are in a lot worse shape than we are. Let's put it that way. Yeah, there's gonna be 3 sets of gear and some helmets coming at you, and just within a month to order it. So there's money in the budget. We didn't replace last year because we just made out this grant for $150,000, and we didn't get the grant. So now it's going to go back to 3 sets a year to keep up with the replacement.
Well, when I see a helmet that's 27 years old, that can't be.
Yeah, but it's probably been to 2 fires in its life, Bob. So it's still just like, you look at it, you'd never tell it was 27 years old.
So they don't change a whole lot in 27 years?
No, they're the same fiberglass. We've been buying the same kind of helmet for as long as I've been there.
The helmet I got's only a couple years old, and it looks just like the one I got the day I joined 26 years ago. Just so you know.
Okay.
If they're cracked or broken or whatever, we replace them. There's nothing that,
I'm just surprised they don't update them. This would be the first time that I haven't seen where equipment doesn't get updated like every 3 or 4 years. I'm just shocked at.
well, the fire,
A 27-year-old helmet is same as one that was bought today. That just shocks me.
yeah, no, they're the same looking helmet as they were. Maybe a little bit on the liner earmuffs have changed a little bit, but they're the,
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
So one of the things I think the board should also know is that when Heath budgeted for the 3 sets of gear before the grant, if he would have purchased them before they wrote the grant, it would have diminished the need. So that's why they held off to try to get into the grant rather than on the budget. But since that time, they went from $3,500 for a set to now almost $6,000 for a set of bunker gear, helmet, 2 sets of gloves, structural gloves, and the extrication gloves, the hood, and the boots. So almost double what it was 3 or 4 years ago.
With no improvement, because you just said there's no improvement.
No, I mean, the stuff, I mean, they come up with lighter material, you know, that kind of stuff, but the basic concept of a helmet hasn't changed.
And that's it, helmet.
yeah, they're 10 years when they come out.
Yeah.
But they're not updated. They haven't changed in that 10 years.
They have different types of helmets.
Yeah, they have different types now. And some of the ones we did now, we bought a little bit better equipment. Like the boots, we used to have rubber boots with steel liners. We started buying leather boots. Some of the newer helmets are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be an upgraded helmet from what we've always worn. That is some of the stuff we're looking at. But the new gear has bailout equipment capabilities. It's just an updated. There's updates, Bob, but it's not. You can buy the same helmet and still have it. It'll look the same. I can buy a helmet that looks just like the ones that we bought 25 years ago.
And safety-wise,
They're
all the same.
They're all NFPA rated.
Yeah, they're all, freaking something falls on your head, it's gonna
stop it.
stop.
I mean, I just know from snowmobile how much you gotta, after a certain amount of time, you're supposed to replace them. Or if you've had an accident or anything, and I mean, all I did was Google it and it says 10 years for.
Yeah.
For
The whole idea,
NFPA Regulation 1851.
yeah, the whole idea behind this whole thing was just to, come up with a place to start.
Yeah.
And Chief, I want to commend you and your staff on the comprehensiveness of this report. This is actually more than I expected and quite useful. So thank you.
Like I said, Mike and Danny did, like I said, most of it, because it's been added into that computer system we have. It's pretty easy to pull. The gear stuff was all in that grant from last year, so it was all, and we didn't have to go pull gear apart to find this because we had it.
Well, it's a great place to start. Thank you, Chief. Any more questions for the chief at this point?
I think that they'd be remiss if they didn't at least call out some of the notes in the back, how many hours that gets put into a volunteer fire service. So I'm not sure if you'd like him to, chief, to say that. But I think the public would really mean something when we're asking to fund these large amounts of money, but how much a volunteer force puts into our community. And it's on pretty much, I think, in the back page of so they've responded to 174 calls so far this year.
Do you want to do that, chief, or would you prefer Mike do that?
No, I just wanted, the calls are on the front part, but the back part has all the hours.
That would be good stuff to read at the town meeting, informational meeting, you know, so people are aware of the kind of dedication and time that you guys put in.
Yeah, you know, like I said, it's here for you guys to read. Like I said, it was in there, so you guys know. A couple of you've been there, so I don't have to tell you. There's a lot of hours that go on there. It's not just when the fire tone rings, it's the trainings, the stuff a truck for the gather food for the food shelf. You know, we had
directing traffic for the cancer awareness walk.
Yeah, or the turkey trot, or you know what I'm saying. It's all that extra stuff that adds up to a lot of hours.
I'd like to read that aloud if I could.
Go ahead.
So right now, year to date, members have volunteered 1,334 hours for various incident responses from January 1st of 25 through 12/20 of 25. And they also volunteered 3,023 hours for non-incident activities for trainings and meetings, getting new apparatus ready, their fundraisers, traffic control for various community activities. And so a total of 4,357 hours for recorded events from January 1st to January 1st, 25 to December of 25. So, I mean, that's noteworthy.
And those are all volunteer hours too.
Yeah.
Yes. Any more questions for the chief? Thank you, Heath. Appreciate this.
No problem.
Thank you.
Keith, you want a piece of cake?
No, I'm good, thank you. I'm gonna have regular supper here. I was late.
Oh, here's a pleasant topic. Town clerk vacancy. Mike, what do we know and what don't we know?
I thought you were looking into the crowd saying, who's volunteering? So what we
Helen, you want to help us out here?
I think Rob's wife should.
I told her that, and she's not pleased with that.
She'd be really good.
I told her I was gonna start a campaign to write her in, and she got really mad today.
I'll sign her up.
in the snowbank sleeping. So what we do know that Nedra Boutwell resigned effective the 19th of December. So currently the town office doors are shuttered until such time as the select board appoints an interim. And then we got the election in March. Also,
It should be noted that Nedra gave us, 5 or 6 weeks notice?
Yeah, she gave us plenty of notice. And so by statute, now that after her resignation, we have 10 days to post it, but we got ahead of that, and we already posted it. So we've been trying to find that interim position, to no avail at this point. But to make it really official, I'd ask that the select board this evening acknowledge that we have that 10 days and to officially appoint it. So I'll do it again so that there's no question whether we did it and met the requirements of the statute. What do we know? I do have one person who is willing to be the interim appointment, but they've asked that we find someone that's had some experience in a town clerk setting, especially as we're getting into the elections and preparing for the elections, that they would say, I'll be the town clerk interim appointed, and she wants somebody that knows what they're doing to be in the office with her. So I've got I reached out to McCoy, what's her name? Tricia, Patty McCoy from Pulteney, the rep. She used to be a clerk and she was part, was it?
Isn't it Phyllis?
No, Pat.
Patty.
Patty.
Yeah, Tricia. So I reached out to her. I haven't heard back from her yet because she was also a clerk and part of the Clerk and Treasurer Association. I reached out to the League, Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, and I've reached out to the Vermont Secretary of State's office. Both of them regurgitated the statutes pretty much, which we already knew. They wished us luck in our search, but there's nothing that they're going to do to be able to step in and help us at this point.
Question. Say, I want to be town clerk. What do I have to know?
Well, the biggest thing I think to hire someone, they have to be computer literate and savvy, because everything is done through different programs. And if you struggle to manipulate a computer, I'm not talking about processing here. I'm just talking about being able to operate the computer and go to websites and fill in information, do research, be very organized, because this is a job that it's public records and they need to be very detail oriented and must be done in a appropriate manner according to statutes and rules and regulations.
Now, I know this is a tough time because it's during elections and whatnot. But say someone is elected brand new, is there a training program? Is there something that they can go through to learn what to do?
There are several courses that are individual. There's not one culminating course that says, here's Town Clerk 101, but they do offer, especially after elections, because there are new people elected to positions, they start offering a lot of individual trainings like property record transfers, births and deaths, marriage licenses. Those are all things that they do, liquor licenses. But the vault itself is the institutional knowledge that we had with Nedra Boutwell, knowing where everything was, how to find things we lost. And somebody coming in here, we're not going to find that by the public.
But Nedra said she had no experience when she was first elected.
That is correct. She reached out to her fellow clerks and stuff. And so you can do it. It's just going to take, you don't know what you don't know. So you have to reach out. And so
a lot of regulations.
Yeah. And so if we were to get somebody that said, I really want to help out, I'm computer literate, but I really don't have that experience, they could come in here and start working on those big ticket items like getting ready for the election, the warning, making sure we meet timelines. They might not know how to do a birth certificate or a marriage license, but they can reach out to another town clerk and figure that one out pretty easily. They just got to get permissions to those systems so they can access them. So if you're organized, computer savvy, detail oriented, you'll probably be able to maneuver your way through this. But if you're not those three things, you struggle.
Take me off your list.
Mike, have you looked at other town clerks around these towns? Because they set their own hours, is that correct?
Those elected officials, they can set their hours. The town of Castleton in the past voted that there is an employee, they get the same benefits as the employees rather than working on fees, because some town clerks work on fees. So the town chose to go the route where they're actually an employee, they get benefits through the town. It's a 35 per hour a week position. When I spoke to the league and the Secretary of State's office, I really didn't get a sense if they're going to help us by any means. But what I want to do is reach out to current clerks through their association, and those that, like Don Custer, retired out of Hubbardton. I don't know what she's doing right now, but if she would say, I'll come in and work for the town of Castleton for 2 days a week of having that office open where someone knows what they're doing is better than no days.
That's what I was getting at. I was thinking we had another town clerk from a local town is only open 3 days a week.
Right.
Maybe we can get her for the 2 days a week that she's just to fill in the gap until we get through this election.
Yeah, so that's the caveat that I spoke with, and with our current assistant town clerk is willing to step up to that position, but wants that other person that has the experience, we're there with them. So there is no commitment to that right now. It's the caveat was I find someone that can come in there to help, and then we'll be able to open up and we'll determine how many days a week that is. Because I asked another question, can an assistant town clerk work in the office without the town clerk being there? And the answer is yes. They still fall under the responsibility of the town clerk, even though they're not there, but they could, if our interim town clerk said I can only work 2 days a week, but the assistant said I can work 3, then we could do them.
But we can't have an interim assistant until we have an interim town clerk.
Correct. And that's by statute. And that was confirmed through the Secretary of State's office. So it's finding that somebody could come off tomorrow and say, give a cover letter and a resume, and that might be a good candidate. But I'm still going to work on finding that seasoned person that might come in and help us too, because I got to have to parallel process here to try to find someone. And then I did share with the select board that coming around to the election, the town can option to go to the voters and say, do you want an appointed position versus a elected position? There's probably, and I gave you a bunch of pros and cons, but the con part of this is somebody could just want a job. And I'll tell you, I had a visitor that had no computer skills, self-admitted, no computer skills, couldn't even work their phone. And I said, why are you applying for this job? Because I need a job. Well, if they got a petition put together and got a vote, they could be the town clerk, and that might be worse than having someone or nobody at that point. All right. So that's the con of the elected part. You don't know what you're going to get. Same with the treasurer. And you could go ask the voters to make it appointed, where you'd have a job description, you'd hold them accountable to those elements of the job, and have a little bit more say if they're not doing a good job. Mentor them, rehabilitate, try to get them to come online. So
if someone's elected to work this position 35 hours and they only come in 5 hours, you're not their supervisor, right?
Well, I am not the supervisor of an elected official anyway.
So there isn't anything you could do. You could have someone there for a year getting paid and not doing the job at all.
I'm not sure, Mark, on if they're hired and because they're getting benefits from the town, the way that they change it, that's 35 hours. If they could say, I just want to go to 2 days a week. That's a question I'd have to ask the Secretary of State's office. Because there was that agreement that they get paid like an employee and the same benefits. So it's not a 2 day a week job. It's a 35. It was determined that it'd be a 35-hour a week job. But I could ask that question. But technically that's how it works. So the clerk, if they're just an elected official with no agreements and they say, I want the town, I'm going to open it up 3. That's why some of these clerks have a full-time job and they do this 2 days a week at whatever town they're in.
Right. There was a sheriff in Vermont a couple of years ago that had moved out of state, but for 10 months still collected their pay because they were elected.
That one, I don't know how that one slipped through the cracks. I don't know, but
I think I read in here somewhere that they have to be a resident of Castleton.
if they're an elected official, they do. If they're an appointed position, they do not. So that broadens the cast a wider net out there, because we might not find anybody in Castleton that wants to do this.
So what would we have to do to put this on the ballot?
Create the wording for the ballot, and the board puts it on you guys.
And the board would have to.
I don't think you need a petition. As a board, I don't believe you don't.
When I read this, I got the impression we have the authority to do that, to pose that question. Now, if Nedra Beltwell's twin shows up, or professional clone shows up and wants to get elected, I'd be more inclined to go that route. But if we're not, if nobody's stepping up that's capable of doing the job, then I would consider that we ought to consider this, and we'd have to make that decision sometime in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, you have to get it on the warning. It's at the end
warned in time.
Yeah, in January, end of January.
Yeah.
So if this was an appointed position, would you have oversight?
Yes. It'd be appointed by the select board, just like the fire chief's appointed by the select board. They're not a hired position. So, or the zoning administrator gets appointed by the select board. But I have daily, like, I can talk to them about their performance, so they're not returning calls to someone or something like that.
Well, the zoning administrator is appointed by us, but you have oversight.
So when would we need to make this decision in order to have it on the ballot?
By the end of the second meeting in January.
1 month.
I'd really be inclined to think that that was a better option.
Yeah, I would say start working on the wording of what needs to go on the ballot.
I think we'll explore that course of action and then
What do you want? What would you like from me for information, or does one of the select board members want to reach out, like to the Secretary of State's office and talk to somebody up the Penny? I can't remember her name. I just met her by email, but she's the one that's illegal on the legal side.
So we're talking about putting on the ballot whether it's gonna be an elected position or an appointed position. Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking
And leave it up to the taxpayers what they want us to do. Is that what we're talking about?
by statute, if we don't elect a town clerk and we want the authority to appoint one, we have to ask the voters
Yeah,
for the authorization to do that.
I just wanted to clear what the article was gonna be.
Well, there's a rub here because the article on the ballot says, shall the voters of Castleton move to not have an elected treasurer or a town clerk, but have an appointed one. But if someone, so the question to the Secretary of State's office is, what happens if someone gets a petition going to be the treasurer?
To be the town clerk, you mean?
I mean, yeah, I keep saying treasurer, sorry, the town clerk. So now you got somebody on the ballot as the town clerk, and you have a question to the voters saying, do you want to do away with the thing? So there's
I think if they were elected, they'd have to hold that position
For the
a year.
yeah.
And then come around the next time, that wouldn't be an option because it wouldn't be on there.
But the term, no, I think the normal term is 3 years for the town clerk, almost a treasurer again.
If they get elected.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I think that's a good question for the Secretary of State's office. But
Can you come up to the podium before you ask your question so the microphone can pick it up?
I'm Pat Schrader from Castleton, and I'm just looking at the worst scenario. If we can't appoint someone and no one comes forward, can we have elections? Because technically, I don't think we can.
the Secretary of State's office, I asked that question, and they did not provide a direct answer to me on what do we do if there's nobody there at all.
Yes.
The answer was find someone to appoint.
So we're kind of, I mean, I'm very concerned about this, knowing how knowledgeable Nedra was with this whole process. I mean, the process of elections is quite involved, which I'm sure you know. And it's going to take, I think, a previous town clerk's experience to help with this, and it's so close to that time. That's my major concern, is how will the citizens of this town be able to vote if we don't have some? Is it possible to have Nedra come back as an interim for the election process? I mean, if we can't find anybody, because if we can't find anybody, we can't vote. So
Yeah, so
that's even a worse situation.
I've taken this as a serious issue
Yes.
because of that reason. And I have spoken to Nedra, and let's just say I'm still not.
Well, I appreciate the urgency that this board is showing, and I just, speaking as a voter in Castleton and as a JP who has worked under the direction of Nedra, I find this a catastrophic event, actually. So I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
We haven't quite got to catastrophe yet, but that's what we're trying to avoid.
Getting very close.
Agreed. It's imminent,
Thank you, Pat.
looming.
know it's gonna, my foot's on the gas, it's something that has to get done, so I'm gonna find somebody. I have to put them in a chokehold.
Find somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yes,
With the
exactly,
chokehold.
yeah.
Because if you don't, you know who we're gonna appoint.
She's gonna be real pissed.
I cannot hold that, I can't hold my position, so.
You're not being elected,
Anticipate a
you're
fall.
being-
Don't stop it.
Anticipate a call from me tomorrow on, now I'm up to 3 items now.
Okay,
Okay?
you got it.
We'll work with you. Maybe have to draft another select board member to help us, but we'll get it done. This one's a lighter lift, tobacco licenses, liquor licenses.
Is there anybody on Zoom that's, representing CapBret? Because I see it, I saw Andrew on there earlier, but is there anybody on here that's gonna represent, CapBret Lakeside LLC? LLC Lakeside, I'm interested.
AB's still on there.
There's AB.
I'm here, Andrew Bretting, I'm here.
Hi, Andrew, how are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. This is your stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that if there was questions that we knew you were on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion before we can have discussion.
I would make a motion to approve a tobacco license for CapBret LLC. And I believe that's for the Lakeside store, the old Harbor View or whatever they call it, the Robo's old business.
What I know is the Harbor View.
Correct.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
If you abstain, you have to have a roll call vote according to the open meeting law.
If there's an extension?
It's not unanimous, right? If it's not
If
unanimous,
it's
you have
not
to have a roll
unanimous,
call.
you have to have roll call vote.
Mary Lee, what say you?
Oh, yes.
Mark Brown?
Abstain.
Rob?
Aye.
Bob? Aye. I vote aye.
Really bad.
I did take that.
I put this stuff in your box. So you have to look this.
Yeah, that was required for all town managers and select board chairs last year. So I will have to say that some of that memory is not fresh at this point.
Andrew, this is Mark Brown. I'm abstaining because I disagree strongly with the sales of all tobacco products. It's nothing personal.
Okay.
I don't have a legal stand to vote against it, and I'm really glad that you're opening that store, but I won't get into the whole thing. We all know about the health issues with tobacco, so I abstain on all tobacco licenses in Castleton.
Rob, would you be willing to do the next motion?
I make a motion to approve a tobacco substitute endorsement for CapBret LLC. Same location as the previous.
Second.
Any discussion? This will not be unanimous, will it?
I'm going to abstain as well.
Mark Brown abstains. Rob?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mary Lee?
Aye.
I vote aye. Next motion,
I
Rob?
make a motion to approve CapBret LLC for a second-class liquor license, same location as the last two.
Any discussion?
Second.
Yeah, any discussion now? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That vote was unanimous. Town report update. I see we've got a draft of the annual report.
Yeah, so Christine finished towards the end of the day. I gave you a draft of where she's at, and I asked her to do that. And she also, there's a paper in, there's a sheet in there that goes with it. It was in the packet. It says town informational meeting, town report, because the dates for the informational meeting are also there for the board to pick, so we can get back to the university to let them know what date. But she did provide a draft copy of the annual report.
So since we're on this, topic now, first off, I would suggest we all review the draft of the report and provide feedback to Christine and/or myself. And then, we need to decide whether we want the town informational meeting on February 17th on a Tuesday or February 19th on a Thursday.
I prefer the 19th, but I can make the 17th work.
I'm not attached to either date. I could make either date available for me. So what's the rest of the board's pleasure?
I agree with Mary Lee. The 19th would be my preference, but if it's the 17th, so be it.
I don't care either way.
Doesn't matter to me.
Mr. Town Manager.
I'm here for whatever you want, so I'm here for the 19th. It sounds like what it is.
Yep. We need to actually do a motion or just direct you to warn the meeting?
Just direct me to more, get a hold of and secure the location with the university, and when we get to the warning for the town report, that the location will be in that.
What were those words we used? You are requested and required?
Yes. So 19th it is.
Does that give you enough days legally to?
Yes.
Yeah, 30 days.
Yeah, the informational meeting has to occur within 30 days of town meeting, and we have to warn it a minimum of 10 days in advance.
Okay.
So we have plenty of time to do this.
And we have to have a time. We have to pick a time as
Well,
well.
that's right. We have to pick a time.
Yeah.
6 o'clock? That's what we usually do.
Sounds good to me.
Is everyone okay with 6 o'clock? Okay, 6 o'clock on the 19th it is, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Fussin' O'Neill, Village Stormwater.
And before you is, there's an email from Brian Birch, from Fussin' O'Neill. And what this extra contract is for is in conjunction with the stormwater project. We call it the Village School Stormwater. It's that treatment area out behind there. We have to put in a catch basin in front of the library so that water that's been ponding in front of there for years will now no longer be ponding there. And then Elm Street, 3 years ago, Heath and Mike Smith made a temporary catch basin on Elm Street that had collapsed, and they poured their own form and made a coffin, but it was supposed to be, I said 3 years. Is he still here? He's laughing.
It's temporary.
He keeps coming back to me saying, he said 3 years.
Is this Elm Street right here?
Yes. Yeah, so there's two of them on Elm Street. There's one that's really closest to the Masonic Lodge, right behind Masonic Lodge. And then there's one that's at the intersection of Elm and Main. It feeds into that. So the one that's got to be replaced has two lines coming into it. And so we need to put another structure in that ground there. So to do what Fussin' O'Neill will do for us is add that into the engineering for the whole project. That's, the other part of the stormwater project, and gives something that we can put out the bid. Because we met with Fabians and they're like, you got to give us something here, dude. We need elevations. It's got to be engineered. So that's what this contract is for, is just for that engineering of that Elm Street and in front of the library part. And it would, because the other part of that is under a grant.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that.
And so we've maxed the grant out, and actually by waiting, these are those things, sometimes when you wait, it works out to your advantage. They have money to spend on this phosphorus reduction. So they've upped the cap for if we can prove that we can remove more phosphorus. So by adding Elm Street and the library one in there, we'll collect some more runoff, and it puts us at a higher threshold for grants. But this is above and beyond that, because we'll be maxing it out. So for $4,350, they'll add this to the current plans, and they got to do the field work. They got to come out and do all that stuff too. But this will allow us to include it in a bid. So I'd ask the board.
All that work has to get done at the same time anyway.
Yeah,
so.
They're going to pave. So today I signed off on that part of all the millings and the old catch basins and stuff. We're going to keep the pieces parts of that. But I wrote back to them. I said, they said in the letter that this stuff was going to be done in 2025. I'm like, no, we're not doing this until 2026. So if you come through here and pave it, we're going to tear it back up. So stop. Mm-hmm. They're not listening to me. And I'm like, we don't want to do that. So
it's a little late to pave in 2025 anyways.
Yeah, but that was in the notes, it's like 2025. But anyway, so what I would do at that point is work with V-Trans, and I wrote back to them today, and that my response was, we want to do this in May and June timeframe, so we asked them to pave beyond that into their paving.
This stormwater project will be done in May and June.
At least the stuff that impacts Main Street where they're gonna pave. The rest of it can be ongoing.
Yeah.
John Raylan, I met with John, and instead of putting the new drain down the middle of that driveway that goes past the library out behind the school, John's allowed us to have a construction easement and a permanent easement for maintenance of that, and put it through his property, so that the trees that's the screening, that we don't kill the trees by tearing up all the roots down that driveway.
So he's gonna let us go way into his property.
Yeah,
Actually, that was his idea. To
yeah,
do that.
and he said, and so I walked it with Brian, and we figured where it could go in. There'll be a clean out on it that would be also there, so it wouldn't be a full run if there was ever a plug, if something got plugged up, and that we could access it from the road halfway and from the.
So it'll go right through the basketball court.
It will, that underneath that basketball court is where the system is. So after that's put in, and it's in the budget for the project, is to resurface that, because they have to bring it back to its pre-construction condition. So it wasn't in there until they raised this threshold, where now we can probably fit that in there. And then once that's resurfaced or redone, not just resurfaced, be new, then we can put the basketball courts back. We can put the outdoor pickleball courts out there. And we wouldn't tear up all that new pavement we just did work by the library. So it would work out to our advantage. And Brian brought it up to Hillary Solomon and the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, this project is funded through them. It's Hillary's money, but it's laundered through. Say laundered.
Passes through.
Yes, it's a pass-through.
So what we need is a motion to authorize the town manager to sign this contract with Plessis O'Neill.
I make a motion for the town manager to sign this contract with Plessis O'Neill for the sum of $4,350 for proposed stormwater infrastructure upgrades on Main Street.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right.
I wrote down.
Motion is unanimous.
All right. Thank you.
South Street Trestle. Do we have one bid?
No, there should be in your packet. There should have been a second one that came in late from Fabian's. It looks like this.
You handed that to us.
Yeah, tonight. So he said to me there was with those power outages. The email said basically they've had a power outage. He couldn't send anything, so he sent it to me. I talked to Jeff today about it because I hadn't seen him since it came in. It came in late on Monday or Friday afternoon. That if you look at the bids,
way off.
$150,000 difference between the two. So after talking with Jeff today, I'm like, I do not feel comfortable asking the board to consider either one of these at this point until we can get somebody else that showed up at that meeting, which was Markowski's, Casella's, and get somebody else to bid on this. Because that's too much of a disparity that I don't know if it's really, this is a good one or if that's a good one.
Yeah, are they both bidding on the same thing here? Because that is a lot of difference.
This one,
Workshop.
Jeff, I don't know, Jeff dealt with them, but I know that there was a comment made that, God, I really can't say that in public because I'm not gonna create some besmirchment.
So we got an apple and an orange here, and we're really looking for a tangerine.
Yeah, I think that we're not at a point. We bought the culvert too, so that project doesn't even include the price of the culvert, which was $30,000. So I just say to the board, give us till the next meeting.
You want us to do nothing until you do more?
Yeah,
we can do that.
all right.
Any questions from the board at this point?
No, I think that's the right course of action.
Then we're going to move on. Application for a highway safety improvement grant.
So what I'm looking for on this one is for the board to approve us to apply for that, that small scale local highway safety improvement grant. We did it for South Street, and that's where the new signs came from. It's a lot of signs, a lot of signage. But this now includes, edge line striping, stop bar, crosswalk, pavement markings, rumble strips. But one of the big ones that we saw in there, was guardrails. Says the replacement of damaged or deteriorated guardrails, no new installation. But if you recall, we had a Better Roads grant out in West Castleton by Coriel, where those vehicles went off the road into Glen Lake. Those were old wooden guardrails plus Drake Road. You remember that one? You brought that to our attention, Bob. That they're gone. They're pieces, parts there, but they're gone. So they are existing. That's about a 50-foot drop when you go over that embankment. And we've been saying, how are we going to get this done? And if you use Lafayette, which we typically use, they sell used guardrails. So they're perfect, but they might have some patina going on, right? But they're still structurally sound. But we could get that with part of this grant and get that done, and then those ones to finish up the ones on Drake Road. Because if you go off Drake Road, you're going to go there all the way down to the road, take a ride down to the interstate. They're all those old wooden ones, and we got other places that are the old wooden ones. And they're no longer, you can't use those anymore.
So do you need a motion from us, or do we just direct you to proceed?
I just need the permission to apply, because they're, if we have a match or something like that, so basically by committing to applying for this, you're committing to us paying the match.
You haven't got it done yet?
Until you said yes.
How much is the match? Is it?
I don't remember in this one. Some of these new ones are coming out with no match.
No local match on this one.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend now. Is a lot of these. Yeah, we could probably fit that in the budget. So
Usually it works out well anyways, as we get stuff that we need done for either extremely discounted rate or at no cost to us.
the last time I applied for this, it was $37,000, I think. And it was a lot of work to put it together. And I had to go out and take pictures of everything, but we got the grant. This one is, this is more, it's broader. So guardrails, ledge removal, there's so much stuff you can do with this now.
Perfect.
So you are directed to proceed with that. You want to talk about the equipment replacement schedule?
No, not really.
Well,
So if that's part of the highway one, right? The highway one.
Yeah.
So also you have in your packet is the Earl's truck repair quote or estimate and one for the trucks. That's just want to bring that to make sure that it was not forgotten about. But the highway department equipment replacement schedule. So hearing what the select board discussed last meeting, and if the caller that you discussed or the person you talked about last meeting was on the line tonight was Mr. Clerk. And so hearing what some of the comments from the select board, if you were to remove the extra money for the vehicle replacement plan, last year was $75,000. If you were to take it out of this coming budget, not make it a ballot article, then it reduced. You look at on the column, this big one right here. I'm sorry, that one. For the highway asset planning for highway department vehicles, under the blue shaded column for FY ending 27, it'd be a $4.62 decrease over the current year. So basically, you wouldn't have. You're not putting it on the ballot, right? There's no extra $60,000 or $75,000 in.
that would not give you $191,000 into the reserve account.
It would give you, in the reserve account, it would still be
183,484.
No, that's the total of the reserve with the extra money, I think. Hold on, I gotta remember what it was. It was,
I got it.
109 or 110. It's in the, I got it right here in the budget.
Yeah. What page is that on, Mike?
It is on.
That's Before transfer station, right?
It's under
It's in the mechanic.
summer maintenance, looking for the vehicle reserve on the mechanic,
It's in the mechanics budget, 115K.
110, right?
You're
110.
projected 115 unless you changed it.
I'm just looking at, this is the current year.
Yeah. Your projection for this coming fiscal year in your proposed budget
is 115.
115K, which is the one that gives you an increase of 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So that's the only money that would go into the reserve. It wouldn't be the extra money. So the money that's added up in this column is what would go into the budget. I gotta look at it now and figure what
The 183 includes an extra ballot item. The blue column for fiscal year 27,
yes.
the 183,000 and change.
Right.
That includes an extra ballot item.
Right. So if you take the extra, you take it out of there,
You'd have 115
then you go back down to that 115.
instead of 183.
So basically the question that got brought up by to Bob was when he brought up Mr. Crowley was the extra ballot articles was one of the topics. Okay.
That's what he brought up too at the previous meeting. This meeting, he brought up that we should try to sharpen our pencil as much as possible in every case, which we've been doing,
So just,
I think.
this would propose not putting that extra ballot article on there, and the fire department as well. And that's
And the paving.
the paving, I believe.
Addressed all three.
I believe that there was a comment made by Mr. Steele that we probably shouldn't do the paving because we're gonna get way behind, and I agreed with that statement at the time.
If we really, really have to, I think we can stretch the equipment replacement a little bit. I hate to, but we can.
We can't stretch the
But
paving.
the paving, as you've said, some of these roads are years behind. And if we don't pave them, instead of being a paving job, it's gonna be a complete road reclamation job that's gonna be double the budget that's already short for paving.
There's three pieces of paper here that you have in that pile, and the highlighted left side, hold on. Yeah, there's three separate ones, and the yellow part on the side, I didn't number them. I should, or there's option 1, 2, and 3. What I did on the last option that I did, I stretched everything out to 10 years on before it gets replaced, because we were doing it 7 is what the previous model was on the budget. So I stretched it out to 10, and I took out one of the tandems and replaced it with a single axle. I talked to Jeff today about it. We're going to get actual real world pricing from 2 dealers, so I can have a real number to put in there. This was a guess based on previous quotes that we received. But if you don't, right now we have 3 tandem trucks. So sorry if I'm going to belabor this, but I think it's important that we talk about it. Is we have 3 tandem trucks. We have 2 single axles, 3 tandem trucks, 2 single axles, and 2 1-tons. 7 trucks. 7 trucks and 4 drivers. So we cannot financially, numbers wise, make this. We keep all 7 trucks. It's just not feasible. We're stretching it out, and I know what's going to happen, and no dig on the select board, is then it's going to come around again. We can stretch it out a little farther. Now we're going to be back into, we're driving around 25-year-old trucks that are costing a lot of money to repair. So I think 10 years that Mark brought up, I think at the last meeting, that you said something about stretching it out there. So this does that. It at least gives a starting point. And I think you have to assess this every year and say, what is the condition of that truck? Maybe it can go another year.
That's the rub. Like, we have, our oldest tandem is a 2013.
Yeah.
Truck's got 60,000 miles, 70,000, but certainly a lot of hard use. But we put a lot of money into that last year. 50 grand, I think. I know it's got all new tires on it. It went through a full service at Earl's, and those guys, they started the front license plate lamp and replaced everything. So that truck's in really nice shape. If we go, we don't need 3 tandems, and realistically, I don't think that we do. But there's a truck that we just spent a lot on. If we sell it, it's a municipal truck. It doesn't bring, you know, you look up a construction tandem truck of that age without miles, it's worth 60 grand. That truck,
40, maybe.
maybe 20.
And that's what's still out on it.
Yeah, so do we sell that for about what we paid the last time we serviced it and put new tires on it? Or do we keep that and say, hey, in the summertime, when you guys are ditching, that's the truck? You know, that's the oldest one, give that the hard construction use, and the newer trucks try and reserve for plow duty.
The only issue I see with that is we still have to budget for, because we lease these, or we take loans out on them. So right now, we're only poised budget-wise for 3 payments. We have a loader payment, which matches about the same amount as a truck, a little bit less. Then we have the truck payment, and then we're still paying off the cat backhoe. We have another like 4 or 5 years on that.
That's pretty new.
That's like, and it's like $7,700.
And has no hours on it.
No, it's
Right, that should last 30 years.
It should, and I think it's on the schedule for 25 or 30 years. But this whole thing about what truck to, you know, I talked to Heath about it, and the one at Earl's, he said, put the money in the one at Earl's because it's the better truck. The top body single axle has been a nightmare since day one. And I remember that. They've been complaining about that thing for the last 7 years.
And it's only a year or so newer.
Yeah. And so when do we put, so this schedule had a single axle in FY 29 and a Chevy 6500. There's certain models. Do we go to 1 tons? Do we go to single axles? Do we get rid of one of the tandems? 3 tandem trucks? Come on. For what we do, it's shame on me. It's shame on me for bringing that before the select board. Why do we need 3? Because the plan was we were going to get rid of one when it was not economically repairable. But we're still holding it. We're still putting money into it.
But we couldn't get rid of the one that wasn't economical to keep because there was a delay on the new truck.
Yeah,
Right? We were at this point a year ago needing that truck to plow.
Correct.
So it's either we don't have enough trucks or we spend, I forget, was it 30 grand I think we put in that truck?
Sounds about right.
I don't remember off the top.
It was real money. You know, brakes, tires, a lot of service. We needed it. There was no other option at that point in time because we wouldn't have the new truck. So now we have a truck that's 13 years old, but has been really brought up to spec. We don't really need it, but you can't say it's going to be economical to sell that truck for $25,000 and buy a new single axle for $200.
Well, so trying to talk this out is if you keep that truck till it's not economically repairable, but we have that old single axle, then maybe the single axle goes. We got to start taking something out of the replacement schedule and out of maintenance. Because if you look at the maintenance budget, it's flip flopped. We were paying is $28,000, I think it was, in the maintenance budget for supplies and repair stuff like buying parts. That's when our mechanic used to do the majority of the work. Now that Evan isn't doing that work, it's flip flopped and we're sending more out to be fixed. And so we're overspending that. So I got in the budget that's being proposed to you, I'm going to flip those numbers around.
So would it make sense as we proceed here to take, you know, right now we're talking about taking one of we have 5 full-size dump trucks, 3 tandem axles, 2 single axles.
Mm-hmm.
Take one of the single axles, the older single axle that's problematic, out the service sooner. So
After the winter, I'm not talking during the winter.
Yeah, but it's, you know, at your convenience, of course, and not replace that truck.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to replace the 2013 tandem, we replace it with another single axle truck.
In 2029.
Is that the direction you're
Yeah,
suggesting?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. That tub truck is great for salting, but you can't use it in construction. You can't put an excavator bucket into the back of it to remove material. So it's a plow truck only.
But I'd like to make it through the winter so that we're not upsetting the apple cart right now, and then look at getting rid of that older top body single axle, putting the money in the reserve fund towards the next truck, And then in 2029 or whenever we need to replace the 13 tandem, it gets replaced with a single axle. But then you'd have an old single axle out there.
That's gonna be getting a bunch of repairs though.
Correct. And that could last us another 5 or 6 years or more. Don't really know. This plan is so fluid that I think this is gonna, like, we have to look at this every year and say, okay, where are we at? Do we put $40,000 into that truck? Do we put $40,000 into it? Or do we save that money and that's a payment towards a new one?
I think in the last year, I know you've directed those guys to undercoat everything. And that's gonna pay big dividends. I mean, most of the equipment that goes out of service is from corrosion.
Yeah, the underneath of those things, it just eats up. I mean, we're always replacing brake lines and the air cans get tore off with chains, and it's just, there are certain things we know we're gonna have to fix, but the catastrophic stuff they're like, that's rotted, we can't inspect it, not good.
So what do you need from us now?
What I'd like to do is meet again with Rob and Mark as the committee and go through this and kind of flush it all out and kind of come up with a plan that you can bring back to the full board. Because we're really not changing anything right now, because winter's,
So we need everything right now in case something breaks and.
It could snow next week.
I mean, we could say that again next year too, but at least there's a little bit of a plan that's behind it.
It probably will snow next week.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow, or tonight, tomorrow. So
It's that time of year.
I think our goal should really, through attrition, be to have 2 tandems, 2 heavy-duty single axle trucks, and 1 non-CDL truck.
the issue that, well, I think I can talk to you. I just want to express some of the feelings of the crew on what they do, because that Dodge gets used a lot, that single axle, because it's lower. You can get stuff in it, and you don't need to, when you're only picking up a few branches or, something off the side of the road, we don't need to drive a tandem out there to do that. So there is a place for that one, but those 2 trucks that we bought, those 2 1-tons, they were designed to plow roads. V-Trans uses them too. That's how we got onto the whole thing about the Dodge Ram, is V-Trans was buying them. Now V-Trans is buying those 6500s. So they're plowing roads. For us, the rub is out of Belgo, East Hubbardton Road, and out West Castleton, the tandems carry more material, so they can do their run without having to go back and refill. But the rest of the stuff, the town in-town stuff, 1-ton can do that stuff easily. So there is a place for it.
Right. We
And
don't
the
have
cost
the
is so much less,
huge storms that we used to. They're not plowing 3 feet of wet snow.
but they can do it. I mean, on the main road, they're not going to push it up Belgo. They might, but
So we're agreed that you 2 are gonna get with Mike and they're gonna come up with a more streamlined plan and eventually work the fleet down to either 6 or 5 trucks. So any more to do tonight?
just the bill for Earl's. To repair the single axle that's over there now, there's 2 different estimates there. That highlighted it's 18,504.43 and 7,950.94.
So what's your recommendation?
As much as it pains me, I don't want to put money in this truck, but it's the better of the 2. So if I don't do it, then we lose a truck on the road right now. So I'd say if we're gonna meet and we're gonna talk about getting rid of the old tug body, then we fix this one. And
So your recommendation is we go with the higher estimate?
yeah, I think they're 2 different things, aren't they?
Yeah, there's two different quotes here for 2 different.
Yeah.
Which one is
They're not the
actually
same truck?
needed for VSI and which one isn't? Are they both needed?
The first one was the one was the coolant one. We definitely need that one. The VSI and coolant leak one, that's something Evan cannot do.
That's the $7,000 one.
Correct. And the other one, cables, muffler, strap support, tube elbow, dozer inject. He's not going to probably do injectors. I'm not sure what a dozer injector is.
That's for the emission system, isn't it?
I think so. like this DPFE inlet or DPF inlet module that's $6,100 and that's rotted out from corrosion, I think is what I read.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something we can get used?
I don't know. But if you look at below it, labor, out of all of that, the labor is $973.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We've got 6. You know, just in a couple of modules here, we've got almost $10,000, over $10,000.
Yeah.
Now I kind of looked quick just to see on this DPF inlet module for this particular truck, and there's some on eBay for about $350, which is a far cry from 6,000.
So what Jeff has asked me is he needs to get back to Earl's, and it's been sitting over there. He's like,
So-
do we go pick it up, or do we have him do some work and tell him to, they're not gonna do the rest of it right now?
What does it need to be mission capable? We know that it needs the coolant leak and the inspection.
Yeah,
Is it only this one that it needs for inspection, or does it need both of them for inspection?
I wish I could answer that, Rob. I don't know. I don't know.
DPF is diesel particulate filter, which would be inspected.
There we go.
Submission.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's not gonna get inspected on it. Okay.
So how much of this stuff is Evan capable of? Drag link, brake job? Can he do that stuff?
He can, he can muffle.
Does he have time to do it?
What's that?
Does he have time to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. He's just keeping up with broken stuff right now. So it definitely, I don't know what his time frame would be. Would it take him, 2 weeks or?
But I mean, the problem is it worth, I mean, the labor is the cheap part of this. I mean, we're at 29. So the labor is less than $4,000 total for all of it. So we're gonna pay 2 guys to go over and get it, pay 2 guys to bring it back, pay Evan to do the job, and then pay 2 guys to bring it back over to get inspected again.
Right. You're right. They do good work.
So this was the very truck that we were just talking about putting money into it to keep it on the road for another 5 years.
Correct.
This is a good truck.
This is the one, this is Mike Smith's truck that he used to drive, and he really did take good care of it. Which doesn't mean a whole lot. So if it wasn't undercoated and, he could grease it and do all that stuff, but if it's
So the older one is the 2013 tandem.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the not his old one.
No, this is Mike's old one. We have 2 single axles. We have one that Mike used to drive in the tub body. And so the tub body is the one that's not at Earl's.
So this is a single axle truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
This truck, it's $200,000 to replace it. I know it's 10 years old, but
Well, Mark, you're more well versed in this. What's your recommendation on something like this? What would you do if it was your business?
I guess I'd say fix it. Rob brings up a really good point. This is why I got fired. See, I'd bring this truck home if it was my truck, and I would try and do it myself for a third the money.
Is that why Matt fired you?
That's why Matt fired me. He would just pay and get it done and say, we'll use it tomorrow. We'll use it next week. They'll get it fixed and we'll have it and we'll use it.
And there's some merit to that too.
There is merit to it. I mean,
Well, it'll be mission capable, it'll be safe, and we can use it for the rest of the winter. Right now, it's doing nothing.
How soon would it be that already?
And I mean, I fix everything on my own
Waiting
stuff.
for us to get hold of them, so.
But looking at
They
it
hit
from a
parts.
different standpoint,
you're right. You send 2 guys over to get it, and 2 guys spend 8 hours trying to source these parts.
which is a bitch now.
Right, and maybe they're correct and maybe they're not, and we could be $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 into this repair and not have it fixed and say, now we gotta go back to Earl's. It's a good truck, get it fixed, make sure that Evan undercoats it again. And, you can't see into the future, but I believe this truck will easily go 5 more years.
And this is going to eat up almost all of the budget too. So if there's any major things for the next 4 months, April, May, January, February, March, 3 months maybe. Well, actually till July, to June 30th, as a fiscal year, is if we have anything catastrophic, we may have some stuff elf on the shelf because we don't have any money, we're gonna overspend the budget. And I don't really want to overspend the budget because that means I'm taking, the only way to cover that is taking away from things like chloride or crushing, stuff that we need to do as well.
But if you look at the fleet, the Dodge was just serviced at Avalanche. They went through it pretty well.
The TNT, they brought the 6500 to Albany today because they brought it to hometown, and they said somehow they wired everything to the ignition, and that's what's causing the problem. So now it's got to go. So they brought it back down to TNT, and I said, "Why are we paying for this? We should not be paying for this." So Jeff told him. He said,
It's a brand new truck, isn't it?
"Yeah." But the guy down at TNT said, "Yeah, we've seen this before. Sometimes they don't do it. They don't wire it correctly, and so now it's back down there to be rewired."
So we got that truck brand new, hopefully we'll have in service. The brand new tandem, the 2019 tandem that's shouldn't need anything. That 2000, is it a 12 or 13 diesel truck? That had major work last year just before the plow season. Probably doesn't have 100 hours on it.
Yeah, since it's been fixed, you mean? Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't have any. The loader's really new, the backhoe's newer. The next piece of equipment that's gonna fail on us is that excavator. Hopefully it won't happen before July.
But in the schedules, when I started taking the monies that was gonna be part of this replacement plan and started kicking it down the road, it doesn't change it in the end because that money, unless you take something out of the schedule. So all it is moved it farther down the road, and it doesn't really solve the problem that money still has to be spent. Just what year?
All right,
I
let's
hate
make a
to take
decision.
that out, that line item, because I think that when you put this together a couple of years ago, it made a lot of sense to keep the fleet up to where it's gonna service the town. But on the other hand, I know that we've heard a significant amount of taxpayer pushback this year. The school tax is 12% increase. And I know that, like all taxpayers, everybody wants everything. They want us to keep this fleet up and make sure that all the work gets done, but they don't want to spend any more money. And
Well, right now, we need to make a decision on whether we're gonna get this truck repaired or not. So let's make that decision,
Okay.
and then we'll move on.
I make a motion that we fix it completely.
I'll second that.
All in, or any more discussion on that issue? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous.
I'm gonna say no, because I'd like to see if we can't get some of the stuff that's just corroded away used, but it passed.
Well, before I tell Earls, I mean, I can still go back and talk to Evan and Jeff tomorrow and just see, kind of get a feel for what they think.
You're authorized to proceed if you decide that's the right course of action.
All right.
So the roll call vote would be Mary Lee, aye, me, aye, Bob,
Me,
aye, Mark Brown, aye, and Rob
said
Steele,
no.
nay. Okay,
Can we not move on? What did we decide on the reserve accounts? Are you leaving those out altogether out of the budget?
That would be my recommendation, at least for the fire department and the highway equipment one, and leave the paving one in.
Did you figure out what it's gonna cost per $100,000?
Not yet, because I need to.
That's what I wanna see.
Yeah.
Is it gonna save me $12 over the years from not putting it in, or is it gonna save me $250 for the year? That's what I
closer
wanna
to
see.
12.
Yeah, we'd be closer to 12. I don't see keeping them out for $12 is worth keeping them out. That's my,
Oh, I mean, individually, it would cost you $12, right? That's what you're saying.
yeah, what it's gonna cost each taxpayer per 100,000. We talked about that at the
No,
last
I
meeting.
just haven't got to that point.
No, that's fine,
we need to have that information before we make the decision, and we need to
Okay.
make that decision sometime, first week or first meeting in January?
Yeah, we're pushing it.
So next meeting.
Well, next meeting, we better have a course of action in place.
Okay, all right.
And then the second part of this was the trackless. And I think I shared with you, so it's gonna cost all total, I think 33,000. You can go out there and find these ones that are 2015, 17s that are selling for 15 to 20,000. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to put $33,000 into that if you guys agree that a trackless is needed for our sidewalks. Right now, I'll just give you what I know I found out today is they were plowing with a skid steer and it wasn't wide enough bucket, which we all were told in the beginning that should be as wide as the tracks. So Evan was out there today working on extending the plow to go out to the, at least beyond or to the tracks because it wasn't working. And they were using that damn brush and it just made a mess. So anyway, the skid steer, they're using it to plow the sidewalks right now. They're modifying the plow to be wider and it's working right now. So there's no hurry to find a solution, but I would say at this point, I let Jeff know to bring the chocolates back and we don't fix it.
I would agree with that.
And it's $30-something thousand and we're already almost at our max for the maintenance budget for the year.
Well, we got 14 years out of it.
It was a 2001.
No, we didn't get that long.
No, we didn't have
bought a used.
Yeah, we bought a
handful
used
years ago.
How long?
I don't think it was much more than a handful.
Brent was here, so probably 3 years ago.
The trackless? I thought we got it in 2011.
No, we bought it from there was at Champlain, Middlebury College had it. But I think it's a 2006.
I don't disagree with not spending 33,000 on this, but I do disagree with you saying, oh, you can go out and buy a used one for 15,000. You go out and buy that used one for 15,000 and in a year or two, you're gonna be spending $33,000 on it again. So I don't agree with that.
No, potentially you're right, Bob, but I just made a statement that they're selling out there for, there's a 2014 or 15 I sent out there that was
24,000 had 1,000 hours on it.
Yeah, and ours is 3,000 something hours on it.
Okay.
And the PTO, the thing runs, the PTO doesn't work. And that clutch, that whole thing was $22,000 to replace the clutch, PTO clutch, whatever, pressure plate or throwout bearing or whatever the hell it was.
You got to split the machine to change it.
It's just, I mean, I hate the fact that what we're plowing with that damn skid steer, that track skid steer, but it's what we got right now. And I don't think it's worth depleting or going into the hole on the maintenance budget for this year to fix it. Cause if we have anything bigger that comes up,
We can't, there's better things, or there may be better things that the money needs to be spent on than that right now.
The skid steers, I think, in my opinion, is great to plow the sidewalks, but you can't sand. You know, the trackless has sander.
yeah, you can't do it at the same time. You have to go back and put the sander on it and go back out with it. So you're putting
Do
double.
we have a V plow from that trackless?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what he's working on.
That's the ticket.
I saw him out here doing it the other day. He was clearing the sidewalks with it.
With the V plow?
Yeah, with a V plow. I mean, that's what, if I remember correctly, when I drove by him, I think it looked like a V plow on it.
On what, the skid steer?
Yeah.
100 years ago, when I worked in Pulteney, we used a skid steer with a plow and then converted a V plow, and it was perfect. Did a great job.
So
Because then you only put half the bank on each side. You know, it doesn't jam one side up, and you can go pretty fast.
So we've agreed to table the trackless at this point.
Yeah, but I need to let Jeff know. So is the consensus that we just bring it
We'll
home?
get a,
Yeah, okay.
That's this Joe Johnson, that's what the trackless is, yeah.
So we're gonna move on to fire department replacement schedule.
So that was I brought that in. I stuffed inside of it. Where some of this stuff come from, the voting of the additional items and creating reserves and all that kind of stuff. But, so right now with the fire department, I sat down with Heath and looked at what we still owe on that mini pumper that's gonna hopefully be in here around May of next year. Or it's gonna go in production in April, I think. So I looked at that, and with what he has in the reserve, what the money that was for that revenue generated from the sale of the old ladder and engine 2 and with the van, he's in the hole until July when he gets the other 50, end of June. He gets either half of his 106,000 And when it's all said and done, the reserve will be around, he'll have $40,000 left in the reserve. After he, because there's some stuff, so he went, that's when I found out about the cost of the gear, was the line item that was for the gear was too low. And that's the same, what came out of that same budget was nozzles, and he said they need to buy all new nozzles for that truck, and there's some stuff, they have junk up there for nozzles. You can go, I take you on a walk over there and you can see them, or I think I'm not in the firehouse right now. But anyway, at the firehouse. But anyway, excuse me. So there is some stuff that he needs to buy for that new truck. But after talking that out with him, there'll be about $40,000 left in the reserves after that truck is purchased and everything's put on it, which doesn't leave a whole lot going into the next one. But if you look at the schedule, I mean, 2026 is the engine 6 new, and then the next truck for replacement isn't out until 2031. That's engine 3. And when I was talking to Heath, that he's agreement that that would be either another one of those demos or a used one, that the $800,000 or $900,000 for a new one's just not feasible.
The other thing you can look into is refurbishing. That's
And then he did say it about refurbishing the one we have.
Option that.
Yep. Rutland did that with their tower and or engine, the Quint, and they haven't had any problems with that one. But the tower they've had all kinds of problems with. But so the next one out there was 2031 for the big trucks, and then all the rest of it, he thought gear was in the $18,000 small tools and equipment reserve, and I showed him in the article where it's not. It's SCBA, extrication tools, air compressor, that kind of stuff. So he was fine. He's like, okay, I got it. So I think we're good there. But so if you took out the extra money for this one for this year, it'd work. It's not gonna. It's got bumped down the road farther, but it's not going to be catastrophic by any means. So I would recommend that the select board does not put a separate ballot article on this year's budget for the fire truck reserve.
I think I'd still like to see, like Bob said, what's it gonna cost per 100,000 to put it on there?
Okay, we'll do it. I can do that.
Cause if it's like $6 or something like that, then
Not worth keeping it out.
we might as well get it going. But
Yeah.
if it's gonna be enough to actually make a difference, then
Well, I think the rub's gonna come is looking at the bottom line of the budget. So Heath talked to me about putting $10,000 into that small tools and equipment to cover the gear, pricing the gear. That pushed the budget to 5.2% now. So what I'm presenting to you, I got the New England or the Consumer Price Index today, so I can add that. It was 3.1%, so I can add that now in there. But right now it's at 5.2%. It went from 4 to 5.2 over when I found out these little missing pieces parts of information. So we're at 5.2%. It's like $230 something thousand, I believe, right now above. Now, if you want to know what is $200 something thousand equal per taxpayer based on the value of their home, I can break that down too. So if I told you
what we're looking for,
Yeah.
for every $100,000 that we add, what does that cost a person per $100,000 of value on their home? It's not that much.
No, and when you look at that and say it's going to cost me $50 more a year to keep everything functioning, replaced, buildings not falling apart, that kind of stuff, maybe it makes more sense to people.
And that's the good part about having it as a separate line item, so people can say, no, I don't, they're add-ons, so no, I don't want to fund that equipment this year, or I do.
The last time I did this exercise was about 3 or 4 years ago, and at that point in time, a penny on the tax rate was raised about $41,000. It's probably a little different than that, but it's probably not much different. So to raise $80,000, that's 2 cents on the tax rate. That's 2 cents per 100. So that works out to $20 for 100,000. So if you got a $200,000 house,
100,000.
so you can double that. So that would be
$80.
$80.
I'm really concerned, sitting back and listening to everybody, and maybe I'm not even catching it. But I don't think we should do away with any of the addition on any of the reserves. Let the taxpayers decide.
But I want the taxpayer to know if they say no, we're saving this, or if we say yes, we're spending this. That's what I want. I want the taxpayer to
They need
know.
to know what you're saying.
Because I can't say no and yes, sitting at this board, unless I know.
Well, that's when we have to tell them on town meeting day, isn't it?
Well, we're gonna get that information. Bob, what I gave you today is just, it's a
It
pretty
just,
rough
it
guess,
just
but
seems,
I just want to make it clear, I'm not voting on it until I know.
no, I'm just saying, I don't think we should jump to doing away with it until we have all the information. And at town meeting, we can say, per 100,000 of your house, you're going to pay $12 or $10 or $100 or $500.
I think we're gonna have to go way beyond the town meeting, because when 80 to 100 people show up, they're not all the ones that are voting.
That's
So the word has to get out to the public, so that people that don't show up or don't watch the Zoom meeting know what they're voting on, because they don't know. We're not providing that granular detail, so they know what they're voting on. If you just say no because it increased, and it only increased $20, it's pretty, I don't know how you could sit there in good conscience and do that, but it's not my $20, it's theirs.
Right. Well, it is.
I agree with Mary Lee. I think it's premature to make that decision at this point, that we need to know what the cost truly is, and then make a decision as the board whether or not we want to present that to the voters. I'm inclined to agree that we should present that to the voters, but let's find out for sure what.
So can you do that for next meeting, Mike?
I will, yeah. Just gotta get with Joe to have a second set of eyes, and if you want to be involved, or anybody wants to be
For
involved.
each one of those individually, for the highway trucks, fire trucks, and the paving.
I was gonna do those, and I was gonna do it for their overall budget too.
That's fine,
Yeah.
what the increase in the budget is.
With and without.
Yeah.
That's all we need to
We've
say.
heard, I've heard other complaints from, in other towns from other people, that, the increase in the education tax is gonna really hurt them. And there's some other towns that are putting pressure on their select boards to reduce the municipal budget to cover that, and that's,
It never equals out. Never.
we can't in good conscience do that. That would be irresponsible.
Do you also, does the board have a preference? Because I know that was hard fought to get it off there, but the previous year's amount that was on there for a while, it's been off, it's on, it's off. Do you want to still leave it off there? Do you want to include it?
I think it should be off, because that was,
Secretary.
we got a opinion from the Secretary of State that was, what's the right word? Influencing.
Yeah, because you can't do anything that would influence the vote.
Right. And if Helen wants to know what we spent on paving last year, then she has that information available. She has to just go look for it. Agreed?
Yeah, and we do, so at the informational meeting, there will be a copy of the budget that showed last year's, this year's. The audit information, all that stuff will be available.
That information will also be available upon request at the town office and on the website.
And the website. Yeah.
So it's there.
We'll
Anyone wants to know can find out.
Put a link to it and all that.
But we can do something that's going to potentially influence voters.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So do we need to discuss the paving resurfacing costs tonight and or any more on the budget? Or can we move on to Sand Hill Senior Housing?
Paving, I think I understood, draft budget. I gave you the highlights. It's up to 5.2%.
So I think we're going to move on to Sand Hill Housing unless anyone has objections. So we have a petition. We know we have to take action on this. So Mark, are you prepared to make a recommendation?
I am. I would make a motion that we accept the petition that was received to let the taxpayers decide whether we do or do not transfer ownership of the 18.2 acres of land on Sand Hill Road. In this motion, I would say that the town manager should pose the question on the ballot so people understand the intent, which is whether or not to sell this property. So a 4-story, 99-unit senior residential center would be built on that land. Not necessarily to Zach R. Hale to build that building. Probably the sale would not be to Zach R. Hale, but would be to a company that he represents or works for, and he wouldn't actually be building the center. But I think the intent is clear as whether or not the taxpayers want to transfer that property on Sand Hill Road to have that 4-story, 99-unit senior housing built. Is that clear? Am I making sense?
Your motion's kind of long, so you might want to rescind that and do something a little shorter.
Okay, I'll rescind that. I make a motion that we accept.
Mark, can I interrupt?
Yes.
Perhaps let's do 2 motions. One
Okay.
to accept the petition and the other one to create an article.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the petition to put the question of whether or not to sell the town's 18.28 acres on Sand Hill Road for the purpose of a 4-story, 99-unit senior housing facility to be built on that land.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on whether or not we accept the petition? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Your motion is unanimous. Now, you take a stab at your second motion. Mark,
Okay.
try to keep it to less than 20 sentences.
I would make a motion that we direct the town manager to word this ballot item so it's clear to the taxpayers that the intent is to sell or not sell this property on Sand Hill Road for the purpose of a 4-story, 99-unit senior housing facility to be built.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, before I ask for more discussion, I was going to suggest that after we craft this article, that it be vetted by our town attorney. That was actually the town attorney's suggestion today, that their offer that she would be more than willing to make sure that article complies with the statutes and that we're doing it properly.
Yeah, I think that the petition the intent is clear, but it would not be sold, the property would not be sold to Zach R. Hill personally.
Yeah, that's why I want, between Mike crafting it or with Mike's help, somebody crafting that, and then our.
Nor would he be building it.
So that we make sure that we're A, complying with state statute, and B, complying with the intent of this petition.
And you can't have both in your, you said to sell or not to sell. You can't have both. I don't believe you can be.
No, the question will be yes or no. Are we going to sell this?
To convey
Yes
the
or no?
property.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
convey the property,
Yeah.
yes or no?
So that's why we need to have the question properly crafted, and we have to have it vetted by an attorney.
So I guess, isn't the intent that somebody reading it knows that what the question is being asked? It's going to the voters to decide, and they vote yes or they vote no.
That's right.
Yeah, it has to be clear that it's a yes or no question. Katie, do you have a comment? And if you can you please come up to the podium and tell us who you are?
Kate Copo, Castleton resident. I appreciate the question, and I would appreciate it to go to the attorney. My one question would be, our petition was crafted based on the announcement of the conveyance of the land, which, so this statute that you intend, this was based off the purchase and sale agreement, which the purchase and sale agreement is an agreement with Zach Hill to build a 99 unit. So we crafted our petition from the direct language of your posted conveyance of the sale. So if you were to change what goes on the ballot, it changes what was posted in the conveyance of the sale.
I can also tell you
See what I'm
that,
saying?
I can tell you that
Yeah.
the state statute is very clear that our question on the ballot has to reflect what's in the purchase and sales agreement and what was announced to the public of the intent of the conveyance. So if that was in the notice of intent and in the purchase and sales of, then it has to be in the article on the ballot as well.
Because it was.
Am I clear?
Yeah, because I like what you're saying, Mark, as far as the
The conveyance was to Zach Hill personally, not to Hill Associates.
Well, it said
Correct.
Zach Hale
So-
and he had an LLC in there.
Okay.
yeah. So
See, that's where
what
I
I'm
don't want to
saying.
get
So-
caught up in that minutia.
Well,
That I don't think there was ever an intent to sell it to Zach Hale personally.
But that is what.
well, it is.
that
That's
is
exactly
what the
what's in the
purchase and
announcement
sales
in the
It
conveyance.
doesn't say LLC.
It says Zach Hale and then he named an LLC. He had a new name of an LLC that was in there.
Well, that's not on here. The LLC is not on here.
But it's in the conveyance, I believe. It says Zachary R. Hale and I think may have said heirs and assigns and Castleton or whatever he.
I can tell you that we're going to make sure that the article agrees.
You know, when we sat down as a group, we literally were looking at what was posted in the paper
You
to
have a,
make sure that we use the exact language of the conveyance of what you all posted.
you have our commitment that we're going to
Okay.
say exactly the same thing so that the question is very clear to the voters.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
We're in-
That's part of our thing was if
And of course, I think we all can agree that, again, not to get caught in the minutia of it, but that the taxpayers of Castleton, the residents of Castleton, have a clear understanding of what would transpire depending on how they vote.
okay.
You know, not to say, hey, you misspelled Zach's last name.
Right, correct. But I think to not have Zach in there and the sale of it, who we're selling the land to should be part of it. Because
When we craft
that's
the
who we're conveying the land to.
When
Correct.
we craft the article, we'll start with that announcement in the paper, same place you did.
Perfect, thank
Okay?
you.
I think we're on the same page here.
Okay, good.
Just wanted to be clear.
Well, today when I talked to Meryl Bent, she asked me if their attorney crafted that, and I said I don't know. And so she talked about she was going to try to reach out to Bridget Remington to see if that was the case or not, but I don't know if she did or not.
We crafted our own.
Did you? Because I think the response we got back was, you know, you even though you accept the petition, the select board has the authority to put the article on the ballot. If it has to be clear or whatever, you know, the intent's clear, so I guess.
We'll make sure we get this right.
It went to Bridget. I'll just add that in there. It went to Bridget with the recent copies of all the purchase and sale agreements and the addendum. She's reviewing everything. Yeah.
So I haven't called that question yet, correct?
Correct.
Any more
I
discussion?
don't know, did you get a second?
Bob seconded it.
Okay.
To put it on the ballot. That's
Yeah.
what we're voting on, right? Yes.
The question is,
We don't know how, but we're gonna put it on the ballot.
we're directing the town manager to craft an article and have it vetted by the town attorney to reflect what's requested on this article and also to comply with what the notice was.
Yeah, I'll bring it back. Like we have time, I can bring it back
Yeah.
before the next.
We have plenty of time to get this right. So I'm gonna call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is unanimous. Anything else on the senior housing community before we move on?
I do. Not to make this go on longer and longer, but I think that we need to have an open, honest conversation so everyone on the board knows where we're at. So the public knows where the board is at. I think everybody knows my feeling. You know, Katie and I have talked about this a lot. I understand her reservations. I understand Mary Lee's. From my viewpoint, this is a really, really important thing to get done in the town of Castleton. We've discussed the pros and cons, so I'm not going to get into that. But you know, if as a selectman, someone said, hey, what do you think are the 3 most important things that could happen in the town of Castleton? You know, this building to me was one. And I would say the next 3 things would be to have that opportunity for seniors to live out their retirement in the town of Castleton. I think that that residential building would be really, really important. And I feel even more so after visiting I'll call it the sister facility in Berlin. A more robust daycare and workforce housing. I think those are the 3 things that our community is going to need over the next 10 or 15 years to be a viable place to live, to be able to afford to maintain the infrastructure of our community and to maintain a high quality of life. Obviously, the one we're talking about right now is the residents on Sand Hill. So this has gone on a long time and the board has changed. And I would like to know where the board is. I'm sure you folks have all seen the postings that I've had on Front Porch Forum. And, you know, I listed those that I was a selectman, but these were my opinions alone, not the opinions of the board. And I don't know where the rest of the board stands. I know where Mary Lee stands.
Sort of.
Pardon?
Only sort of.
Only sort of. I'm sure
Oh,
that.
no, I'm against it, but for different reasons.
Okay, well, I get, you know, you're a neighbor. I'm sure the concept of having more residential options for people that don't want to take care of their homes anymore is appealing to you. You don't like the location, I get that.
No, that's not it.
Let's
It's the
move on.
size of
We don't
it.
want to
If
get
you
into.
brought it down to 2 stories and made it go into the thing, none of us would complain. None
Okay.
of us.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think that
No,
puts it
it's not
into
gonna
red ink
happen.
instead of black ink. So I guess, is it fair to ask everyone on this board where they stand on this? When I'm talking to people about it, am I speaking for myself? Am I speaking for the board? You know, what's our vision for the town in the future? And is this a part of it?
Personally, I think you should speak for yourself. Each one of us should speak for ourselves. That's my feeling.
Mm-hmm. And I get that, but I also think that citizens want to know what's the board's vision for the community moving forward?
That was the one thing in your first Front Porch Forum that upset me, was when you said, I am a select person, but I'm talking as a citizen. To me, you should have just talked as a citizen and not talked as a select board, or talked just as a select board and not as a citizen. Because by you doing that, you told everybody, I'm on the select board, and everyone knows most of the select board is pro it. So I think you influence people with that one remark in your first one. I don't disagree with, Bob and I went up to the facility. It's a nice facility. God love me if I have to ever live in one room with my bed in the middle of my living room for $35,000 a month, $3,500 a month. It might come to that. Maybe they'll go out and shoot me instead. I don't know. But you also didn't point out that, yes, it was $3,500 a month for the very cheapest way you can go. But you didn't say it was over $10,000 a month if you're in the memory care. And that's going to make a difference to people. Like as Bob Crowley said, they're getting older, they may like to do something like that. And he's also saying he can't hardly afford to live now. How's he going to pay $3,400 a month? I don't think the whole story is out there. That's my feeling.
Okay. Well, I apologize if you think that I was doing anything that was less than honorable. But I wanted to make it very plain that I was not speaking for anybody else on this board.
I just told you that everything you said was fine. We saw all of that.
I just wanted to make that very clear. I'm not trying to put words in anybody else's mouth. Am I trying to present it in a way that I think it's really good for the community? I am. And I can't list out the whole sheet of what all the expenses are. I understand that that's not for everybody. You know, people that have not planned well for those years can't afford that. I do know the memory unit is $10,000 a month. I've checked into many others that are 14. You know, that kind of care is expensive, but that's kind of out of the issue here. You know, it's the same if, you know, Woodard's has a great business up here on the lake. A lot of the boats they sell are 200,000, and that's not affordable to most people. But at the same time, we don't say, hey, you guys can't be in town, you're too expensive. So I wanted to give that information to anybody that asked because I have it, but it's not, in my opinion, the major or even really a minor part of whether or not the community wants this residence built.
Well, on another thing, when Bob and I went up there, Bob had called Zach to find out who to talk to. Bob and I are going along, and Zach calls him and says, I've never been there. I'd like to come too. Until we found out I was riding with Bob. What was it, 10 minutes? Oh, I can't make it. But he called ahead and says, watch out for her. And when we went in, I said, I want you to know I'm a select board person, but I'm against this. But he says, I know. How would he know if Zach hadn't called ahead? And Zach said it's going to be a 5-mile radius. Berlin told us it's going to be anyone living in the state of Vermont. Only the state of Vermont. And the only person that's not in the state of Vermont is if I retired to Florida for 10 years and then I wanted to come back and live where my family was, then they would take me because I really was an ex.
Well, there's no restriction on where people come from. Anybody.
That's what he told us. The Berlin man is the one.
He didn't do a good job of explaining it. I think what he meant to say was, in general, people that live there had their previous life within about a 35-mile radius. That it would be pretty unusual for someone that was 75 years old in California to say, I'm going to move to Vermont. That people tend to want to spend the rest of their life in a similar area, close to where they were. There were a few people that are living there now that did live in other states and moved here to be closer to their kids. I mean, they're 85 years old, their kids are 65, but, you know, to be closer to other people. But there is no, it would be illegal to have a restriction on housing where you come from. You know, those are federal laws. Anybody that wanted to move there could. There's no restriction on that. It's just what tends to happen. You know.
Okay, Bob, did he or did not he not say they would be just Vermonters or that?
I think he did say that, but he also said the Florida thing too. So if somebody moves to North Carolina, it's going to be the same thing, right?
But I'm saying,
I mean,
New Hampshire, Massachusetts, they're right around us.
I think we're going to get back to what our discussion is supposed to be right now.
I think that's right.
I think we've digressed a little. So Mark, your point was you wanted to know where the rest of the board stood on this project.
Yeah, I think it's important to know. I think this is an important project. And I think that taxpayers expect us to be transparent.
My short answer is I am prepared to support this project.
I support the project.
I think I talked to you about this already, where I said that I'm gonna have to take the easy way out and abstain if we had to vote on it, because there's certain things that we have to change our personal feelings around sitting on this board, and this is one topic that I just can't. Well, I understand that it's in the best interest of the town, or could possibly be in the best interest for the town. In the end of the day, it's not gonna affect me at all. I go up their road once in a year, so it's not gonna affect me. But the fact that, you know, we have fellow taxpayers, families, friends that are gonna be affected by it every day, and have put in as much effort as they have right now to try to maintain the neighborhood that they have, I can't look past that either.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have a cop out, and I would have to abstain because I can't separate the two right now.
Nothing wrong with an honest answer, Rob.
I can't.
That's what I was looking
I
for.
can't do it. If it was gonna be plopped down in where Flores Plaza is in Center Rutland, I would have absolutely no problem with it because it would fit that atmosphere. And like I said, where it's going up there, doesn't affect me at all. I don't drive by it. But it's gonna affect everybody that lives up there, whether we think it does or not. They feel it's going to. I can't look past that on our
Okay,
fellow
understand.
citizens.
Helen, did you have input?
No, I'm good now.
Okay. So at this point, the three members of the board support the project.
I'm taking the easy way out.
One is not in support for specific reasons. And the third one is declining to venture at this point in time, or the fifth one. So that's where we stand. So at this point, let's move on to manager's report.
I don't have
Yeah,
one.
sure.
I'll give you all the updates you got.
We still got at least 3 hours.
Stop it.
To drop
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, if anybody has a question, I know.
What did I tell you, Helen? This time we were gonna get out today.
I'm not a good aim, but I can hit you from here.
There was some concerns, Bob expressed some concerns to me that I think were resolved, about the public salt shed. It was stocked, you know,
Yes.
so that was done.
Yes.
That you want to know about the speed signs.
Yeah.
And they removed
Did I
them.
see the sand is in a different location now? Did I see that on Facebook? The public sand is in the old salt shed building?
Yeah, around the corner there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been there. It's just, I think Bob might have drove by it, but it wasn't full or it was depleted. And,
About a month ago, there was nothing in
Yeah.
it. It was empty.
they said they screened it, they filled it, so.
Yeah, it looks good.
I went to get sand the other day and it was there.
Yeah. It's good now.
Yeah. Rob, would you do purchase orders, please?
Yep. I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 055010 to the VLCT Employment Resources and Benefits for the sum of $2,047. That's the quarterly SUTA first quarter of 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 054841 to Aquatic Environmental Incorporated for wet testing for the sum of $2,540.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The copy for warrants in your packet is accurate, Rob.
Okay. Would make a motion to approve warrant number 1219 for the sum of $53,038.73. Warrant number 1222 for the sum of $49,897.33. Warrant number 1211P for the sum of $21,446.07. And warrant number 1218P for the sum of $20,705.75.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's also unanimous.
Next meeting.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
They'll probably need updating.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Good hope we can see. And I'm starting to get around again. I'm clear to drive now.
Well, obviously, because you didn't walk here, right?
You're not.
I don't think Emily gave you a ride.
She did, she would have.
Yeah, I'm sure she would.
Pogo stick.
Yeah.
Which is a hell of a way to spend your birthday, Rob.
Yeah, I got cleared to drive.
What else would I do? And also here mine too.
That's recovery. You know anyone who's done it?
No,
Seems to be the
not
thing.
really. No,
It's,
not a total beast.
it's pretty arduous, but it'll be worth it.
Consider I can hardly walk. Once we put
No, that's not good either.
Oh, thank you.
Like I said, I had about an hour long.
Yep.
Something to get in grammar.
Okay, so, select board comments or concerns, Mary Lee?
I want to somehow, from the select board, write a letter or in the newspaper or something, our thank you for the 10 years that Nedra has worked for us. I'd like some kind of splash be made. Maybe not put very well, but that's, she's worked a long time and been
Done a really good job.
and anytime here since I've been on the select board or before, she's always very nice, smiling, willing to help you go in and yank out the big books for you and here, this is how you do it, whatnot. I think we're losing a great person.
There's no thinking about it. We are. But should we ask her before we splash it across the?
She there.
She's
Sure.
okay.
We just thank you to the board members that went to our holiday party and recognized Nedra at that point as well for her service to the town.
Anything else, Mary Lee?
No, that's,
So you're gonna get with Mike and figure out how you're gonna do that public thank you? No, I'm serious. You wanna do that? You wanna spearhead that?
I can do that,
Thank you.
except any day except tomorrow.
No, okay.
First thing Wednesday.
How about 25th?
Yeah, that's okay. I had my Christmas on Sunday.
Mark?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this, Mike, looking at it. Last year, we had an article to establish a capital reserve fund for this building that passed. Is that in the new budget?
It is, but it's not very much money because we haven't, again, if you want to let it ride, I'll put in what's, realistic based on what the long-term needs are, and we decide on what it's going to cost people, but $5,000 starting this late in the game with a roof and stuff, it ain't gonna make it, not gonna make a whole lot of difference. It's gotta be kind of a little bit more than that at least. I don't know what the good number is about looking at the budget, but the rec budget's already up, so people tend to focus in on rec.
Well, you're gonna
It's
have,
a tough year to
Yeah.
with that education increase, it's tough to add anything.
The
you're
other
gonna have a
thing,
pretty accurate forecast of the budget for the next select board meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Does this board need, we have done in the past, we've had,
a separate budget meeting specific to the budget, either in late December or early January to nail things down. Is that something that we want to consider doing?
Not December. Yes, I think we should.
I do too. I think that we should be more familiar with it than I am right now, because we're going to have questions about it, and we should be able to give good answers.
I think it'll also help develop those themes and messages that need to get put out to the public, to explain the reasons why. And it seems to be something people want to know, like not just, yeah, it's going to go up, but why? Maybe that's their deciding reason that they think it's justifiable or something. I don't know.
Well,
I think it went over really well last year at the informational meeting that we fielded different departments, so we could really bone up on the answers to questions that people would have.
all right, so we have January 5th is a Monday with no select board meeting. We have January 19th, which is probably too late with no select board meeting on a Monday. So I would suggest we do it January 5th if no one has a problem with that. Are you okay with that, Mike?
Yes, the first Monday, right?
Yeah, first Monday of the month. It's not a select board meeting, but it's still a Monday night.
Just the budget, though. You're not gonna stick a whole bunch of other stuff on there, right?
And it has to be a public meeting, but is there any reason why we couldn't do this in the conference room at the town office?
Just it depends on how many people show up. We can only fit 7 people in there.
Let's do it here. That way if 146 people want to come, we got room.
Yeah, just so it's not confusing.
Yeah. So we're agreed, what time? Still 7 o'clock?
Whatever.
It's fine with me.
Okay, so we're going to have to warn a special select board meeting for the budget it's a one item agenda for January 5th
7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
Okay.
I didn't want to go to Lions Club anyway.
We'll see if the Lions Club.
That's your karaoke night, isn't it?
No, it's Lions Club.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Anything else, Mark?
I don't have anything else.
I will ask because it's like we're. I have nothing right now.
Well, I'm good. So action items.
Yeah.
Mary Lee's gonna help Mike write a thank you to Nedra. Mike and I are gonna work with Joe to get the tax rate so that we know what the impacts of these 3 separate budget items that we may or may not put on the reporting, in addition to what the budget increase what the impact is for. We'll do a per 100,000, and then everyone can do their own mental math as to what their impact is, whether their house is worth 200,000 or more. Let's see, that's appointed town clerk. I'm going to get with Mike tomorrow, and we're going to talk about what we can do to come up with next steps on that. We all have to review the town report and provide feedback to me and or Christine. And the Public Safety Committee is going to meet with Mike to go over the highway equipment schedule. Is that pretty much it, or is anyone else going to remember anything?
Do you want a sewer commissioners meeting before the next select board meeting? So I'll make just because of the ordinance. Are you guys prepared to do it at that point, or you want to wait?
I think we should do it in the first select board meeting in January. We'll have a sewer meeting at 6. Should be able to get a draft of the changes to you guys well before that. Christine's not going on vacation next week, is she?
No, she has 1 day off, but
Okay, then, because it's not significant, it's not a heavy lift, change the document. Do we need executive session for anything?
I would ask that we meet briefly to talk about real estate.
Okay,
Okay. When you come back from executive session, maybe one extra thing for the snowmobile club. I don't know if anything has to happen next couple weeks before I come back.
I don't believe so. I think, yeah, that's an action item. I forgot, that's stuff up here. I gotta talk to the chief about, and Mike about Fairhaven. Yeah, you're on here for an action item. I just forgot to mention it. To get it ready, to get our act together for the next meeting.
I can make it. Is there anything else you need?
I don't believe so. Not at this point. If there is, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
We have contact information for you?
I put it on the sheet I gave you.
That's right, we do. Okay. This is for Rod.
Like, is this something you did? It's not very helpful.
It's that old fire part one, yeah, the thing was gray and it didn't copy well. It needs to be updated anyway.
Yeah, okay.
If you got a laptop, you probably still couldn't send you the slides electronically, but then they're pretty colored.
Yeah, some of the pictures are okay.
So
You haven't made a motion.
I'm waiting for Rob.
Oh.
Mary Lee, we need you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the real estate matter at hand would put the board at a substantial disadvantage because of the sensitive nature of the real estate situation. Right, you want a real estate, right? Yeah.
Do we have a second for Mary Lee? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss the real estate matter under provisions of Title I, Section 313A1A of the Vermont statutes.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? We're in executive session with the board and the town manager.
Aye.
Aye.
9:48.
Recording stopped?
Yeah.
Make motion, we come out of executive session at 10:01 with no action taken.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Mike?
10:01. Nope. That's it.
I make a motion to adjourn at 10:01.
I'll second it.
What, you beat the time, it's at 9, you could 10.
Wow.
9 minutes early.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.